Good morning and welcome to day 9 of the Democrat shutdown. We give you a daily update here to just talk about what's happening and where we see things headed. Joined here by our leadership team and of course Chairman Mike Bost, who will talk with you about the pain that's being inflicted on veterans.
Government shutdown, day 9, guys.
I just want to summarize everything this morning as I've been doing on some interviews earlier today. This morning, Americans are watching a remarkable split screen. Two things happening simultaneously, and there's a rather stunning contrast between the two. On one screen, you see President Trump and Republicans delivering for the American people. You see President Trump and Republicans cutting taxes for hardworking American families. You see us ending the border crisis, ending the crime crisis. You see us eliminating fraud, waste, and abuse in government, and now resolving violent conflicts around the world. What President Trump achieved yesterday, was announced last night, is a truly historic foreign policy.
Salute.
It cannot be understated. We should give a whole press conference just about that. The deal that he struck between Israel and Hamas will achieve incredible results, not just for that region, but for every peace-loving people around the world, everyone around the world. He's going to bring the hostages home.
What's up, Libra?
Years they've been in captivity. They'll finally be delivered home. We're all watching the images of
Mike Johnson on the government shutdown, day 9 update, guys.
That this is coming to an end. He's going to bring the hostages home. He's going to bring peace and security back to Israel and truly lay the foundation for a lasting peace in the Middle East. This is a goal and an objective that's been stated by presidents and politicians and policymakers and people around the globe for generations. And President Trump has the strength and the vision and the resolve to do it. He's the only president who could have, as has been demonstrated. And look at the other side of the screen. So that's all going on one side of the split screen. Now look at the other. The stark contrast with the Democrats who have shut down the government. Republicans are busy working around the clock to deliver for the American people, voting over and over to open the U.S. government and laying the foundation for peace and working to deliver for American troops and military families. And what do you see on the other screen? Democrats playing games with the lives and livelihoods of the people we represent. They have now voted in the Senate. The Senate Democrats have voted 6 times to keep the government shut down. And I just want to tell you one of the most outrageous things I've seen since I've been following politics in the mid-'80s when I was a kid in the Reagan era. Chuck Schumer did an interview last night and bragged, this is what he said, quote, he had the audacity to say, quote, every day of this shutdown gets better for us. His party. I don't even know how to comment on that. It's so stunning to me.
They too busy taking shots at each other, guys. This is live. Mike Johnson on the government shutdown, day 9. Make sure y'all double tapping that screen. Get the likes up.
So this Democrat shutdown are very real, and he can mock it and he can pretend like it gets better for him. It doesn't. It doesn't get better for the country. Right now, half our civilian federal employees are on furlough. Real, vital, critical services that American citizens in all categories rely upon are halted. And when we talk specifically about our military, right now service members, military personnel at home and abroad, as well as Border Patrol agents, TSA, air traffic controllers, they're all working without pay. I was on C-SPAN this morning on that program they do in the morning where American citizens call in. They have a Republican line, Democrat line, and independent line. One of the callers called in and she was so upset. She's a young military mother. And she has 2 special needs children as she told her story. In tears, she's so angry, and so am I, that their services are being delayed. I mentioned here at this podium last few days, I mean, I have a big military district in Louisiana's 4th District. We have Fort Polk in Barksdale Air Force Base. Lots of airmen, lots of soldiers. Many of them are deployed right now, defending your freedom around the world. And they've left their young families at home. They live paycheck to paycheck, many of these.
But it's both of you guys' fault, man. Double tap that screen. Get the likes up, guys.
Chuck Schumer thinks it is. He says, quote, every day of the shutdown gets better for us. What the heck is he talking about? All of us on this side, we're kept up at night. This is a sad situation, and we've got to get through it. We're almost 3 weeks ago, just by way of quick review, the House did its job. We did the responsible thing. We passed a clean, continuing resolution, no frills, nothing to it, 24 pages, bare minimum, to keep the lights on, so that Republicans and
social scientists
can do their work, and get together and do this job, to deliberate and negotiate and go through the process that Congress does on everything all the time.
Kiss.
to work on all these issues. We voted to keep critical programs funded, and that ensures federal workers get paid, that our troops and TSA agents and Border Patrol and many more get their paychecks. We had that vote almost 3 weeks ago. Virtually every Republican voted to keep the government open and to make sure those paychecks are done. The Democrats in the House, all but one, voted to close the government and by extension, stop paying troops, stop
This
paying
is live,
TSA
guys.
agents, Border Patrol, air traffic controllers, and all the rest. We've done our job, and the Democrats need to do theirs now. That ball has been sent to the other court. That is the place where it lands right now. 6 times, I remind you, they voted to shut it down. We need 5 Democrats to break ranks. We need 5 of them to wake up and come to their senses and do the right thing for the American people. How long are they going to allow this pain to be sustained? I talked to the president last night. He called me.
Thank you, IGT.
And he and I both lament, we all do, this terrible situation that we're in. While we're working to do all these positive things for the people and even settle conflicts around the world, the Democrats are playing games. It's political theater to them. They've reduced Americans' pain to a political prop. I'll just say this briefly. I'm going to let the other leaders speak here, but just a few things that you've seen. While we're doing all this work, we're working around the clock to deliver on all these things I've just listed. Democrats are playing games. They film themselves wandering the Capitol, beating on doors and posting flyers and pretending to look for their colleagues. They hosted a live stream. Oh, it was so embarrassing. The House Democrats hosted this live stream where they ate candy and told terrible jokes to each other. They had an audience smaller than this room for the whole country. The leader of the Democrat Party is bragging about the cost that this is being borne by the American people. And just yesterday, I had 2 Democrat senators come over and stage a failed publicity stunt outside my office. I heard about it, walked out and confronted them and set them right on the truth. They came to this side of the Capitol to try to put on a little political show for their online audience, and then they walked right back over there and voted for the 6th time to keep the government shut down. Give me a break. Democrats seem to be doing everything except the one thing that Americans desperately need and deserve, and that's passing our clean CR to get the government operating again. That's all we're asking of them. Stop the political stunts. Stop the madness. Stop saying that you're
exactly. Stop blaming and just negotiate. Absolutely. Open the government back up, man. Double tap that screen. Get the lights up.
Our Chairman Mike Bost, he, as you know, works on all things regarding American veterans. He's the chairman of our committee that handles all of that. And we just wanted him to talk specifically about the costs that are being borne by our veterans because the Democrats shut down. Chairman?
Hey,
First
Nene.
off, I want to say thank the Speaker, and let me tell you this. I believe Secretary Collins and the administration is trying to do everything they possibly can with the money that we actually provided for them in advance for our veterans. Thank heaven we did. So the healthcare side and appointments and everything through our VA from that side is not in jeopardy yet. But let me tell you the areas that are and the concerns we have. In the CR that we pushed over 3 weeks ago now, we actually had extenders for certain programs that are vitally important, like the Fox Grant, which provides mental health, in contracted mental health for many of our veterans who the suicides continue to happen at 17 a day. We also have things that we pushed over as far as the concerns we're dealing with continuing education. Continuing education is starting to fall by the wayside. The concerns that we have with other programs like this, there's about 7 of those programs, but those are going to start falling by the wayside. Now, one of the concerns that we're already hearing is a GI Bill. Right now, we're hearing rumors that as many as half of the people that have a GI Bill, they're not receiving GI Bill payments to their universities, and therefore, when they get on the line to try to call to make sure that their education will continue and it'll be paid for, to try to straighten it out, there's no one there to answer the phones. That is a concern. Day to day, our veterans are trying to make ends meet. Day to day, they're trying to hold on to their benefits. And day to day, they keep hearing these concerns, and they're going to continue to get worse.
Let's get the lights up, guys. Double tap that screen or click the 3 dots, hit that thumbs up.
The fear that I have for them is as this goes on, it will only get worse. It's not a game. It affects real people's lives. Another program that's out there that is concerning is those that might be needing home health care. Those are private providers. Now, like I said, Secretary Collins is trying to shift things around, but the authorization language expired on the 1st of October. Folks, this is not a game. It's very, very serious. And let me tell you this as well. As I watch us coming up on the deadline on the 15th, that the first time that our not only our veterans in dealing with this, but our military personnel, our young enlisted that may have spouses and children
Thank you,
that are
Reed.
making it payday to payday, are all of a sudden trying to figure out, I'm living payday to payday, but I'm going to get no pay due. Let me tell you, that's personal to me. That's who I was. When I joined the United States Marine Corps, I was 18 years old and turned 19 in boot camp, got married out of boot camp, had a child, and for a short period of time, it was during the Carter administration, and we were living payday to payday. And when you saw no pay due, not everybody's got a parent that they can call. And you don't have a credit rating where you can actually call a banker. And you know what? Rent's still due. Food's still got to be put on the table. And for someone to say, hey, you know what? It's getting better for us every day. It's not getting better for them every day. And they are the people that are standing on the front line to keep this freedom of this nation in place.
That's why y'all need to
We are going to
negotiate
continue to do our job.
and open back up the
did our
government.
job. We sent it to the Senate. All of these things that I talked about were in that continuing resolution. And we made sure from our part at the VA committee that they were. It is time that the Democrats quit playing games with those people who they claim that they're all for, our veterans and those who serve this nation. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and it just shows you the real cost of a government shutdown that Chuck Schumer's imposed on the country. We hear over and over these stories, and we're hearing more of them every day now that we're in the 8th day of this shutdown. The pain that is being inflicted on real people. I did a town hall meeting last night. We had thousands of people on the call.
Thank you, Rika.
And a number of people talked about the problems they're experiencing, seniors that want to make sure their social security.
Guys, y'all take time to double tap that screen. Get the likes up. This is the Republicans speaking on the government shutdown. We in day 9, guys. A lot of people feel like they need to negotiate with the Democrats and open back up the government and stop playing the blame game, guys. What do you think? Let me know in the chat. Thank you for that. Thank you for the gifts, guys. Continue to double tap that screen or click those 3 dots and hit the thumbs up, man. That's how you hit the like button, man. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel if you are new. Once again, this is the Republicans speaking on the government shutdown, and we are in day 9, guys.
Is defined by how much suffering
Thank
you can impose
IGT.
on other people, including our men and women in uniform. Maybe you need to look in the mirror and check yourself at the door and wonder what it is you're up here trying to accomplish. Is that really why Chuck Schumer ran for office? To inflict pain on other people so that he can have a good day, a better day for himself. When that is your measuring stick for a good day, is how much pain you're inflicting on other American families, you have lost your way. And yet they vote over and over again to keep the government shut down. While trying to talk about other issues, we can be talking about those other issues without inflicting pain on people. We can be debating our differences, as President Trump said he wants to do, by opening the government back up again. And by the way, once we get the government back open again, if Democrats ever come to their senses, we still have a lot of differences to resolve. Those differences don't just get resolved tomorrow. November 21st gets closer every single day too. And then they're going to try to hold the American people hostage again on that deadline for some other unrelated issue so that they can inflict more pain on the American people. But don't worry, Chuck Schumer will be having a good day if that pain's going to be inflicted on others. Thank goodness we have a president in the Oval Office who continues to stay focused on the job he was elected to do by the American people. And Speaker Johnson just pointed out how critically important that job President Trump is doing. As we mark the 2-year anniversary of the horrible Hamas attacks on Israel, President Trump is brokering a release of all the remaining hostages so that those families can finally get closure. Hopefully, some are still alive. We know, sadly, some are not. But those families want to have that resolved. They want to see their loved ones come home. And President Trump has worked tirelessly. He said he would work tirelessly. And he continues to deliver for the American people. He continues to lead on the world stage and stand up to the bullies around the world. He continues to fight for American families who are counting on him. And then
let's get the likes up, guys. Click those 3 dots in the right-hand corner. Hit that thumbs up. Let's get the likes up past 100, guys. It helps out the channel. Shout out to everybody in the building. We are watching the Republicans speak on the government shutdown. We are currently in day 9. Let's hit that like button. If you're on a mobile device, guys, double tap that screen. Any other device, click the 3 dots in the right-hand corner and hit the thumbs up. Make sure you're subscribing if you're new, guys.
Aside those petty differences and say, well, gee whiz, Mr. President, finally we agree on something. But no, the Democrat Party has made a decision. Every day they wake up and they just want to fight Donald Trump. It doesn't matter what it is he wants to do. He wants to keep communities safe. They're going to fight him on it. He wants to keep the government open. They're going to fight him on it. President Trump wants to make sure our troops are paid. Chuck Schumer wants to fight him on it and talk about how good of a day it is for Chuck Schumer. When that happens, their party has lost their way, and it's not too late to come back. And so there will be other votes. Hopefully, we get 5 more Democrat senators that come to their senses and stop inflicting this pain on the American people. It's causing real harm on families. And hopefully, they stop worrying about what that measuring stick is that says they have a good day only when the American people are having a bad day. Stop inflicting pain on the American people, Chuck Schumer, and open the government up. End this madness. Our whip, time ever.
Do you guys agree with the Republicans,
Yesterday,
guys?
Senate Democrats,
Let me know.
including the 2 senators from my home state of Minnesota, Tina Smith and Amy Klobuchar, voted for a 6th time, as the speaker mentioned, to shut the government down or keep it shut down. 6 times. That's 6 times that Senate Democrats have voted against as
I see some of y'all saying y'all agree.
Troops. 6 times that they voted against the 13,000 Minnesota National Guardsmen who are showing up to work without receiving a paycheck. 6 times that they voted against supporting federal workers, air traffic controllers, border patrol agents, and the list goes on and on. And why? Because Democrats have decided they'd rather hold the American people hostage than pass the same nonpartisan clean seal.
Somebody said East Side is ran by the same person. They should be too. Get rid of oh my goodness, get rid of Trump. Allegedly, 2 wings left and rights is still the same dang bird. Okay, Levy, man, nope. Go Democrats. A lot of I see is mixed
But
down there.
Tina,
Okay,
if that really was the case, why do you support a $1.5 trillion spending proposal that would give health care to illegal aliens while cutting $50 billion from rural health care? She's just not being honest. This was never about health care for the Democrats. This has been about picking a fight with President Trump so that they can try to score points with the terrorist wing of their party. It's pure politics. And nothing reveals their true motivations more than Chuck Schumer taking a victory lap, as both the speaker and the leader have said.
somebody said bull crap.
This gets better for us. So every day that our troops, TSA...
Guys, continue to double tap that screen. We need to get the likes up. We 700 people deep, only got 79 likes. That don't even make sense. Get the likes up, guys. Double tap the screen if you're on a mobile device and click the 3 dots and hit the thumbs up, guys. This is a live press conference regarding the government shutdown. And we're in day 9 and we got the Republicans speaking about it. Let's get those likes up. It's more than 80 people in the building. It's more than 88 people in the building. Double tap that screen if you have not hit hit the like button or click the 3 dots and hit that thumbs up. Let's get the likes up. Make sure you're subscribing to the channel if you are new. Shout out to everybody in the building.
Partisan clean CR and end the massive amount of pain that they're inflicting on Minnesotans and the American people. Our message today is still the same, and it's not going to change. All of us are united. It is enough with the games. Pass our CR. Get the government up and running again for Minnesotans. And I say this to my 2 senators, the people that elected you to do your job. Do your job. Your constituents
Thank you,
deserve
Ree.
better than this. And with that, I turn it over to our conference chair.
It's interesting. I often want to ask
Thank
Chuck
you.
Schumer, who is us? Because it's definitely not the American people, right? And as the leader said, the speaker said, compare and contrast the 2 split screens. So I want to start today, and I want to tell you just how grateful that I am that the hostages are finally coming home and that peace in the Middle East is on the horizon. And I want to look right to you and say, thank you, President Trump, because without you as our leader, this would not
Yes,
have
Brian, we're in day 9.
It is Joe Biden, or it was Joe Biden's weakness that got us into this situation. And thank God for you, President Trump, that it is your strength that has gotten us out of this situation. And this didn't happen by accident, right? It happened because of our president's strong leadership that puts America first and peace first. So again, I applaud President Trump for securing this historic peace deal. Now, like our speaker said, let's shift gears. The impact of the government shutdown is growing by the day. Planes are being grounded, paychecks are being missed, and people are hurting. Different than Chuck Schumer, he's having a good day. The American people are hurting. And why? I'll tell you why. Because Democrats are terrified of their own radical base. They are scared to death of their radical base. And let's be honest.
We still playing the
Schumer is
blame game in
scared
day
out of
9,
his
guys.
mind from AOC. Think about that. Why else would he do it? He's voted for this 13 other times before. But let me share with you, enough is enough. Democrats have voted 6 times to keep the government closed. 6 times Democrats have voted against the American people. 6 times Democrats have voted against the American people. And if they do it again, 1.3 million brave men and women in their uniform could miss their paychecks next week. Chuck Schumer, how is that a good day for them? Explain that to them. I realize it's good for you and your radical base, but explain to those service members how that's a good day for them. That's 1.3 million families wondering how they are going to pay the bills, how they're going to buy groceries, how they'll fill the gas tank. That is disgraceful. Shame on you, Chuck Schumer. Our troops aren't bargaining chips. They are heroes. And let's treat them like they deserve to be treated. So when the Democrats vote again, I ask that they think of the military families who rely on the October 15th paycheck as their only source of income. And explain to them, Chuck Schumer, how that's a good day for them. I ask that they think of the servicemen and women living paycheck to paycheck. I ask that they think of them, not of the radical base that they're trying to appease. Let's put our troops before politics. Pass the clean House bill. Open up the government and pay our troops.
Thank you for the gifts. Thank you.
Yes, go ahead.
I understand this is a second situation, the shutdown. Both parties think that they have the right goal and they're trying to strategize their way there. But why not put politics aside and shut down?
Thank you, Flip Mode.
To pass a standalone bill to pay the military. You mentioned that military.
Let's go, Ree.
Do you ever think that this is lies and not politics, and the shutdown posture can be put aside?
I'm so glad you asked the question. We're not pursuing a political strategy. The CR is clean. It doesn't have any Republican priorities on it at all. In fact, we're extending Biden-era
Appreciate it, Ken.
spending. It's exactly what Chuck Schumer gave you impassioned speeches on as recently as March of this year that must be done, that you don't play games with people's lives. They're the ones playing politics, not us. I've explained this, and I'll say it again. If there was something that we could peel off of the CR, if I could take a Republican priority or policy or trick or gimmick off the CR and make it more palatable for the Democrats in the Senate to vote for, I would have already done so. But I didn't send any of that on. We sent a totally clean document over there because we're operating in good faith. What's our goal, our strategy? To keep the lights on for the people of this country so that we can have their Congress working to resolve all these issues. They're trying to make this about healthcare.
Y'all are
It's
off the
not.
chain.
It's about keeping Congress operating so we can get to healthcare.
They said Mike Johnson liked basketballs. Is that true? Man, what in the world is going on, man? This is live, though. I seen a lot of y'all saying it's only the Republicans. Well, they're the one that's giving the press conference right now. If the Democrats were giving one, I would play them too. But right now, it's just the Republicans, guys. This is live.
They're playing political games. They're trying to pretend that a December 31 policy issue has something to do with the fiscal cliff that we faced on September 30th with a shutdown. And they're doing that out of desperation. Why? Because their policies are so unpopular. The Democrat Party is in free fall. They have no leader. They have no policy that they can present to the people. Their platform was reputed in the last election. President Trump won every swing state in the popular vote. The House Republicans had the highest popular vote in the history that's ever been recorded. Why? Because the American people rejected the woke progressive nonsense that they're all still clung to. So they don't have anything. I mentioned yesterday, they just had a poll. The Democrat Party has the lowest approval rating of any time since polling began. So what do? They're desperate. There's a rising Marxist wing in the Democrat Party. They're about to elect a mayor of New York City. Chuck Schumer's from New York. He sees a rising Marxist challenge to himself. And there's one thing that Chuck Schumer cares about more than anything else, and that is his Senate seat. The guy's been in Congress for 44 years. He doesn't know how to live life outside this building, and so he will do anything to make sure that he keeps that seat. He thinks the AOC is going to challenge him or some other Marxist. I'm just telling you the plain truth, and I take no pleasure in this. I'm trying to muster every ounce of Christian charity that I can, but this is outrageous. He's playing games with the American people. Real people are being hurt, veterans and troops and everybody, people that
Can I say that I feel like both sides are playing games with the American people? They need to negotiate a deal and open up the government, guys. People are missing much needed help due to them bickering between each other. Don't just blame Schumer. Blame both parties, if you ask me.
The troops. We did it 3 weeks ago. We put that bill on the floor and the Republicans voted to pay the troops, TSA agents, Border Patrol, Air Traffic Patrol, and everybody else. The Democrats voted no. Go pull the record. It's 3 weeks ago. We had the vote. Only one Democrat voted with us to pay the troops. We've done it. The House has done its job. The reason the House isn't here in regular session is because they turned the lights off. We passed the bill. Pay the troops. Pay all these essential workers. Provide services to the American people. We sent it over there clean. It's 24 pages. It's a bare bones document. It has no Republican priorities on it at all. It's exactly what they voted for before. And they decided to turn this into a political stunt. So coming back here and doing it and having a duplicative vote to do the same thing they already did would accomplish nothing because Chuck Schumer's going to stop it in the Senate. They're playing games. He's enjoying it. He told you in his own words, every day of the shutdown gets better for us. Golly, it's despicable. Yes,
Yesterday you came out and gave Senator.
Let's go, Samika. I agree.
Publicity's done.
You called this publicity's done. Yesterday Mr. Lawler went down and confronted Mr. Jeffries afterwards. I guess my question was, you as the speaker, considering how the tensions are rising in the building, you had the House here, everybody here, there would be fights in the hallways. Are you concerned, and is it incumbent upon you as the speaker to try to lower this temperature? When we see what happened outside your office yesterday, you engaged with the senators, Mr. Lawler coming downstairs and engaging with Mr. Jeffries, who, he really gave it back to him. I've not seen that type of confrontation in this building in my 30 plus years.
I haven't either, Chad, and it concerns me.
I've been here longer than you.
I know you have. Look, since I got here, January 2017, I've been working on restoring civility to the institution. The first thing I ever did in Congress was draft the commitments to civility. I was proud to 52 out of 53 members of my freshman class, as I remember, signed on to that. Republicans and Democrats. Treat one another with dignity and respect. Let's have policy disputes, but not make it personal. This gets personal. Emotions are high. People are upset. I'm upset. I'm a very patient man, but I am very angry right now because this is dangerous stuff. And so, is it better for them probably to be physically separated right now? Yeah, it probably is, frankly. I wish that weren't the case. But we do have to turn the volume down. The best way to turn the volume down is to turn the lights back on and get the government open for the people. Do the right thing.
You guys need to negotiate then.
Remember, it's math. We have to have 60 votes in the Senate to do this. Every Republican in the building is voting to open the government. The president wants to open the government. We need a few more Democrats because we only have 53 Republicans in the Senate. We got to have a handful of Democrats to join and do the right thing, and I hope they will. We'll keep you posted, wait for developments, and let's pray this ends soon. Thank you.
Is the House in session next week?
So that was word. Look at it. They call it the Democratic shutdown. That was word basically from the Republicans, guys, regarding the shutdown. They're still blaming the Democrats and Chuck Schumer. I blame both parties. Let's take this time to double tap that screen, guys. Get the likes up. Get the likes up. Let's double tap the screen. Get the likes up, guys. Take this time to get the likes up. As we await President Trump, guys, in his press conference about his peace deal that he just brokered, guys. Make sure you guys are getting those likes up. Let's click those 3 dots. Hit that thumbs up, guys. It helps out the channel. Make sure you're subscribing to the channel if you are new. What do y'all think about this government shutdown? Let me know in the chat, guys. What do y'all think about this government shutdown?
We have to be persistent, and it is prayer that's going to help us to stay fortified for the fight that we are in. But I believe that
this must be the Democrats.
Together, we will win. That victory is assured, but we have got to do the work. Amen? So Psalm 10, I committed to you to read when you get home. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I'm going to read part of it starting at verse 12. It says this: Rise up, O Lord. O God, lift up your hand.
Oh, Jesus, we not doing that. Hold up. Hold on. We got more. They're speaking on the floor right now.
The Washington Post talked about it just yesterday in their headline in their editorial page. Democrat leaders play dangerous game. That's what we have here. And what does the minority leader say? Every day gets better for us. Who in the world is us?
This is live as well, guys.
Organized the shutdown. They've talked about having an orchestrated group of the far left wing, the terrorist wing of the Democrat Party, organizing and orchestrating the shutdown, planning for weeks in the minority leader's office, closely coordinated, and it's hurting the American people. But the minority leader has said it's getting better for them. Look, how can they brag about the damage that they're doing to the American people?
No, you all are doing it.
Whether it's women on infant and children programs needing food, whether it's small businesses applying for loans for the Small Business Administration, our troops, our Border Patrol. But boy, for what I see from the minority leader and where he's trying to lead this country, it's a perfect quote for the shutdown. Gets better for them every day. And I'll tell you, Mr. President, it's rubbish. And it is hurting our country. 13 times we have voted to open the government, keep it open for a continuing resolution in Joe Biden's term, and now they're not going to do it because Donald Trump's in the White House. That's what we have in this country today. A political game being played by the Democrats because they think that every day gets better for them. And this isn't right versus left. This is right versus wrong.
That's what we're facing in this country today. There are 1.3 million soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, Coast Guards, Guardians on active duty to protect our nation, protect our freedoms.
Hey, Miss D.
They're going to miss their paychecks. But Chuck Schumer says getting better for them, for the brave men and women in uniform. One date looms large. It's October 15th. Normally October 15th is payday. This year, under the Schumer shutdown, with it getting better for Schumer every day, it's going to be a day paychecks don't arrive for every one of them. 9 days ago, October 1st, service members of the ranks got their last paycheck. And it's going to be their last paycheck until the game, the dangerous game, the political game that Schumer and the others are playing ends and government reopens. We could do it today with a vote. We're going to have an opportunity to do it. And it's
Samika
wrong.
say this some bull.
It's just wrong to do this as a game because it's getting better for them every day, or so they think. This Friday, October 10th, tomorrow, Border Patrol agents and other federal workers will receive only half a paycheck. The Democrat leader says that's getting better for them. 72% of military families say their most pressing concerns is missing a paycheck. 500,000 military families relocate to new duty stations each year. For them, costs can be crushing. Moves cost by the families are average $8,000 out of pocket. Normally this is reimbursed. May not be for a while. Chuck Schumer says getting better for them every day. Under the Schumer shutdown, military families are going to be forced to stretch out the budgets, dip into savings, take out loans. This adds to financial stress and strain. At Fort Hood in Texas, the local food bank is seeing a 34% spike in demand just since the shutdown began. Military families are lining up for food, diapers, baby formula. One employee there said the situation in Fort Worth had never happened ever.
What's up, Flicks?
Maybe they're just stocking up because they know that for the Democrats, they think it's getting better every day. That's what they're aiming for. What in the heck are they thinking? Well, those people that have planned and organized all of this are thinking that, hey, we got a big rally coming to Washington, an Oak Kings rally coming up the 18th, getting better for them every day. Let's just hurt the military more, the Border Patrol more, the women, infants, and children more. Hurt them because it's getting better for them every day. Not hurt. Who is the us? It's the left wing of the Democrat Party. It's not the American people. That's what we're focused on here. I want to focus about opening the government up for the American people. We have offered a clean, continuing resolution at current funding levels, at Biden funding levels, current levels, reopens the government, pays our service members. Mr. President, Republicans want to reopen the government. We have voted to not shut down the government. We want to make sure our troops don't miss the paycheck October 15th. Not the Democrats, because they think it's getting better for them. The date on their calendar is not the 15th, which is the date on the calendar of every military member. Their date is October 18th. That's the date when the most radical left-wing activists are going to descend upon Washington. They're coming to protest President Trump. And the Democrat leader and his leadership team is hoping that they will actually receive cheers from that group. Because it's getting better for them every day. That's what they say. This shutdown is all about politics. It's what it's all about. Been planned and orchestrated and organized for months. The Washington Post editorial said it best. The Democrats are playing a dangerous game. They are choosing politics over the paychecks of the American working men and women who protect our nation. And this weakness defines today's Democrat Party. They are radical, they are extreme, they are dangerous, they are scary, they are out of touch. But they think it's getting better for those people every day. They're holding our military hostage. Why? Because they want to impress the left-wing activists. It's indefensible. Service members now have to worry about putting food on the table. so that the Democrats and Senator Schumer can try to satisfy the far left liberal wing of the party, who will never be satisfied until this country is destroyed. That's what they want. It's no surprise that 55% of Americans say Democrats are shutting down the government just to please their radical base. The Senate can reopen the government today, but we need a handful of Democrats to join us. Democrats voted 13 times for a clean continuing resolution under Joe Biden. They know that the Schumer shutdown, it's reckless, it's radical, and it is wrong. The Democrats don't seem to care because, according to Chuck Schumer, every day gets better for us.
Remember what King Cecily said. It's me today,
As a
but
result,
it will be you tomorrow.
the Democrats
Let's go.
are threatening America's safety, our security, and our prosperity.
Somebody,
people don't want the government
CSG
closed.
says, what a joke.
Chuck Schumer does, because every day gets better for him. 2 in 3 Americans demand Democrats accept the continuing resolution at current funding levels. It's the right thing to do. It's fair. It's reasonable. It's time Democrats listen to them. Time to open the government so the troops can get paid. That's what this is all about, Mr. President. A political game being played by the radical left. And they believe it's getting better for them each day. And Chuck Schumer, this wasn't some offhanded comment. This is exactly what he said yesterday in a sit-down interview with the press in his office. These were planned words and orchestrated to appeal to the people that he's trying to appeal to them, who are not the average American who just wants to go to work, just wants to get paid a fair wage for a fair full day's work and defend the country. So I know who the us is when he says us. And it's not the American people, it's not the hardworking people of your state or my state who want to get up, go to work, get the kids to school, put food on the table, and live in this greatest country of all times. And that's what we're dealing with, and that's why I came to the floor this morning, Mr. President. Because when I heard this comment by the minority leader, I could not let it stand, and the American people deserve better. Mr. President, on a separate matter, I want to talk about something else. And in July,
This is live, guys.
the law of the Working Families Tax Cut. And that legislation stopped a $4 trillion tax increase. It secured our border, it unleashed American energy, and it slashed wasteful Washington spending. I thought one of the most egregious subsidies we eliminated was the electric vehicle tax credit. And under Joe Biden, Washington provided lucrative luxury tax credits to prop up EV sales. The Biden car bribes forced working families to subsidize vehicles that people didn't want, couldn't afford, weren't very practical in my state. And I have fought against these costly EV handouts for years. I introduced bills to repeal them, and I was joined by my Republican colleagues. And I especially want to recognize the senior senator from Ohio, Senator Bernie Moreno. Hardworking families should not be forced to bankroll luxury vehicles for wealthy elites. Republicans in Congress acted decisively. We terminated the EV tax credits. We deliberately chose September 30th as the end date for the subsidies. This quick termination meant significant savings for taxpayers, $200 billion in savings over the next 10 years. But as the saying goes, the price of liberty is eternal vigilance. And in Washington, we have to follow up and fight to protect taxpayers and taxpayer dollars, even when the intent of Congress is clear. And that's where I really want to point out the hard work of Senator Moreno, because that's what the Republicans are doing. In recent weeks, Senator Moreno and I read troubling news. There was a last-ditch effort to game the system in the final days before the cutoff date. And we immediately wrote to Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent to alert him about the issue and to address the problem. Senator Ted Cruz of Texas, who's chairman of the Commerce Committee, also raised his concern with the Treasury Department about the subsidies. Major car companies responded to the letter, and they changed their policies. And I encourage all companies to follow their lead. Republicans are going to continue to protect taxpayers and ensure these subsidies are gone for good. Here's the reality. The subsidies were never needed in the first place. Look at what has happened since Congress ended them. Tesla has actually lowered its prices. They've done it by stripping out luxury features like vegan leather seats and ambient lighting. Hyundai slashed nearly $10,000 off of their Georgia-built model. This is precisely how
I see a lot of y'all saying, where are the Epstein files?
Americans elected Republicans
Bring on the files.
to end Washington wasteful spending. We're keeping our word. So I'm going to continue to work with my Senate colleagues and the Trump administration to keep this loophole closed, to enforce the law, and to protect hardworking taxpayers. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the floor.
All right, so they keep on calling this the Schumer shutdown, right? Well, Schumer spoke. Let's see what Schumer had to say, guys. Schumer most definitely spoke. They say it's getting better every day. It's his fault. Let's see what he had to say for himself.
Nearly 2 years to the day of Hamas's vicious attack on October 7th, after nearly 2 long years
they blaming this on
devastating
Schumer.
war in
Let's see
Gaza,
what he had to say.
It appears that a ceasefire and hostage agreement has been reached. If this agreement is implemented, then finally, after 2 years
Thank you, Flip
of immense
Mode, for
suffering,
being a member for 4 months.
hostages could soon be free. There could be a ceasefire, and the victims of this painful conflict can start to rebuild their lives.
Thank you, Flip Mode.
This brings a huge sigh of relief to the hostage families, to all of Israel, and to Palestinians who have suffered for so long in this horrific humanitarian catastrophe. Now we await details and final acceptance and implementation from all parties of the first phase.
I didn't say I believed anyone. I just said that this is what he had to say. You know, stop telling me what I believe. This is a non-biased channel. We're not on any side. But if we're going to let one side speak, we most definitely have to listen to what the other side has to say. I didn't say I believe nothing, but I am going to present both sides.
A lasting peace that ensures security and dignity for Israelis and Palestinians alike. This morning, I hope and pray that all of the hostages are released, including the deceased hostages. I will never give up until all the hostages are home, including the remains of my constituents, Omer Nutra and Itai Chen. I've gotten to know their families well over the last 2 years, and I share their desperation to bring them home for proper burial and closure. The work is not over, but any step to end this nightmare is one that should be celebrated and carefully implemented. Now on the shutdown and the Trump administration. The federal government has now been shut down for more than a week, but Donald Trump, Speaker Johnson, and Republicans in Congress are nowhere to be found. Instead of playing with people's lives, Donald Trump and Republican leaders in Congress need to sit down with Democrats and have a serious negotiation to fix health care and reopen the government at once. Workers are starting to miss out on paychecks. Seniors are worried about delays at the Social Security Administration. Small business with government contracts are in the dark. We need to end this shutdown as soon as possible.
Hey, blessed to be blessings.
Every day that Republicans refuse to negotiate to end this shutdown, each day our case to fix health care and end the shutdown gets better and better, stronger and stronger, because families are opening their letters,
Thanks, Tasty.
showing how high their premiums will climb if Republicans get their way. They're seeing why this fight matters. It's about protecting their health care, their bank accounts, their futures. But Republicans are absent. The House is literally on vacation. And Donald Trump, meanwhile, continues to play with people's lives and threaten mass layoffs for federal workers. Yesterday, the Wall Street Journal reported that Republican leaders in Congress have been urging the administration not to follow through with their threats of mass layoffs and no back pay for furloughed federal workers. The Journal wrote, quote, that far-reaching government cuts and firings could backfire with the public, and aides have been, quote, warning that such moves could cause voters to blame Republicans for the shutdown. That's the Wall Street Journal. Well, this is spot on. If Donald Trump thinks that punishing federal workers and treating the American public as pawns is going to help him politically, he's making a terrible mistake. Because the American people are smart. They see what Trump and the Republicans are doing. They know Republicans are the ones in charge. They have the presidency, the House,
Still
the
playing
Senate,
the
not
blame game,
Democrats.
guys.
We Democrats want to end this shutdown as quickly as we can.
No, you don't.
But Donald Trump and Republicans need to negotiate with us in a serious way to fix the health care premiums crisis. We can and should do both. It's not either or, like Republicans think. President Trump, meanwhile, is simply not taking this shutdown seriously because as we speak, the Trump administration continues to negotiate a $20 billion bailout for Argentina to prop up a MAGA ally. Apparently, Donald Trump thinks $20 billion for a MAGA-friendly government in Argentina is fine, but fixing healthcare premiums here at home is not. Meanwhile, thanks to Trump's bungled trade war with China, American soybean farmers have been shut out of foreign markets and are facing mass bankruptcies. With American farmers cut out, farmers in countries like Argentina are taking advantage, selling record number of soybeans to China. But instead of helping American farms now in the middle of a shutdown, Donald Trump wants to send $20 billion to Argentina to help them compete against American farmers. All while hungry Americans face higher grocery prices and the largest cuts ever to nutrition aid, thanks to Donald Trump and the Republicans' big ugly bill. It's utter lunacy.
You guys take time to double tap that screen. That's how you hit the like button. Or click those 3 dots and hit the thumbs up. That's another way to hit the like button. Let's get the likes up, guys. Make sure you're subscribing to the channel if you're new. This is Congress basically speaking on the government shutdown. We got Schumer himself. You know, this is live. So get the likes up, guys.
But Speaker Johnson has sent the House on vacation. He has sent members home now for 3 weeks, and it sounds like he'll keep them away for at least another week more. The House of Representatives has not held a vote, a single vote, since September 19th, 20 days ago. In fact, Mr. President, would you care to guess how many days the House has been in town since the end of July? 12 days. That's it. Since the summer, the House of Representatives has held votes for only 12 days. If you're someone who works 2 jobs, or works weekends or overtime to make ends meet, what on earth are you supposed to think, when House Republicans can't even be bothered to show up to reopen the government? House Republicans are not working and getting paid, and they're asking the American people House Republicans are getting paid and not working, and they're asking federal workers to work and not get paid. If your electricity prices are skyrocketing, if your premiums are going up by thousands of dollars, if you're getting charged more for a cup of coffee or your groceries, and you see Republicans on vacation for 3 weeks straight, that's basically middle finger to hardworking Americans. And let's be clear, the Speaker's dig in at all costs approach is not sitting well with some members of his own party. Yesterday, Marjorie Taylor Greene said the following, quote, "The House has so much work to do. Why aren't we coming back in session? We could be doing appropriations, passing important bills and more." Representative Massey of Kentucky tweeted something similar. "The government is shut down, but the House refuses to go back in session. Why are we in recess?" said Republican Massey. "Because the day we go back into session, I have 218 votes for the discharge petition to force a vote on releasing the Epstein files." Representative Kevin Kiley of California, Republican, meanwhile posted this: "The Speaker shouldn't even think about canceling session for a 3rd straight week." So the cracks are showing on the Republican side because they know Speaker Johnson's position of not budging on healthcare fixes is untenable. And in Louisiana, I would have thought that of all people interested in fixing ACA premiums, it would have been a representative from the state of Louisiana. Yesterday, I read a sobering report from the Times-Picayune saying that, quote, Louisiana stands to lose the most if the ACA premium tax credits expire. According to that report, 85,000 Louisiana residents will lose health insurance. Many will see their premiums skyrocket. The average 60-year-old Louisiana couple making $85,000 a year would see insurance costs rise from $600 a month to $2,000 a month. Hear that, Mr. Speaker? That's your constituents. Good Americans in your own state will suffer the most if the ACA premiums expire. People will go bankrupt. People will get sick. People will die. All because the Speaker chose to keep the House on vacation rather than come to work and negotiate with Democrats to fix this healthcare crisis and end their Trump shutdown. Shameful. We urge Republicans to back away from their corner and have serious negotiations with the American people, serious negotiations that the American people deserve and expect before people get sick and go bankrupt. Now, finally, on a different, more somber but grateful note, last month the Senate lost a beloved member of our family, Kevin McDonald. Kevin served as the scheduler for our former colleague, Senator Patrick Leahy, for over 30 years. And I know Patrick would be the first to admit that he wouldn't have had the great career he did without Kevin by his side. I'm sure there were many days when I called Patrick 10 or 20 times, still remember his phone number, or asked him to rush to my office in the middle of something else.
R.I.P. to him.
And made Kevin's life hell trying to keep his schedule. But Kevin, the consummate professional he was, always found a way to make it work. He made the hardest days feel easier. He made the busiest days feel smoother. And everyone who knew him, whether you were a senator, a staffer, a parking attendant, a police officer, everyone just loved to be around him. He was the life of every party. He lit up every room he walked into and had an innate ability to turn friends into family. We'll all miss Kevin. We thank him for his service to the Senate, the state of Vermont, and the country. Our prayers are with his family, his friends, and his loved ones. I yield the floor.
All right, that's what we heard from Chuck Schumer, guys. That's what Schumer. Did y'all agree?
It's been going on for a long time, started back in 2013, 12 years ago, costing taxpayers millions of dollars to complete. I didn't want to have to overturn this RMP because I really do respect much of the work that was done, certainly the people who worked really hard to do it. And I also recognize that some Alaskans support pieces of last year's final plan and are concerned that their input could be lost if it is reopened. But the problem that we've got here, and why we're taking this resolution up today, is that the Biden administration, which was in office during the last few years of this 12-year process, really has left us with no choice here. They lost sight of the need for balanced management. They dropped any pretense of it from the final plan. So despite objections from me, from Senator Sullivan, the state of Alaska, many Alaska stakeholders, BLM kind of plowed ahead and they finalized a plan that overwhelmingly prioritizes conservation but fails to reflect the principle of multiple use that is required with our public lands and fails to honor the explicit requirements of federal law. There are some very significant issues within this plan. There are further deficiencies based on what BLM pledged to do and then refused to do. And that combination is what caused us to file this resolution.
J.S. say she believes she agrees or he agrees
so, going
with
through
Schumer.
those problems in a little
they
bit
say they
greater
with
detail.
Schumer on this.
I expect that one of the things
We
you're
need
going to
5
hear
more
today
likes
in
to
opposition
300,
is that
guys.
this is
Double tap that
unprecedented,
screen.
that Congress
Subscribe
is
if you're
now
new.
overturning 12 years of non-political, legally sound agency work. And Mr. President, if that were true, I wouldn't be standing here in opposition to this. I would be a no on the resolution, but that's not where we are. In December of 2020, in BLM's 8th year of work on this RMP, the agency released a draft plan with a pretty reasonable preferred alternative. This is a proposal that would have protected
Somebody said they are.
sensitive areas. It would have upheld subsistence
They disappointed in
and
Chuck
recreational
Schumer.
uses. It would have provided opportunities for resource development and other legal uses on BLM land. And under that proposal, many outdated public land orders, we call them PLOs, would have been lifted, and the majority of BLM's lands would have then be accessible. But just a few years later, we saw a very different preferred alternative emerge from BLM. This was in the middle of the Biden administration. The final record of decision issued last November is 362 pages long. There are multiple appendices that total another 1,428 pages. So it's 1,800 pages. This is the stack of the maps and the pages of the final record of decision. 1,800 pages showing these various designations and restrictions. This is in no way a user-friendly plan. It's not a printer-friendly plan, that's for sure. But it's also not a BLM employee-friendly plan. It's long, it's complex, and unless you're really super invested in learning what was designated as Visual Resources Management Class 2, as opposed to Class 3 or perhaps Class 4, you're probably not really going to enjoy reading it. The differences between what the BLM proposed in 2020 and what BLM finalized in 2024 show really how this process went off the rails. So giving you a couple examples here. In 2020, BLM proposed one area of critical environmental concern, we call them ACECs, and resource natural area. These are administrative withdrawals for conservation that restrict other uses. And this covered 77,000 acres. Then last year, BLM's final RMP balloons this to include 21 ACECs and RNAs covering 3.6 million acres. This is imposing restrictions on nearly 47 times more land. In 2020, BLM proposed 497,000 acres of special recreation management areas. In 2024, we saw that triple to 1.453 million acres. In 2020, BLM proposed little over 1 million acres of utility and transportation corridors. In 2024, that fell by 2/3 to just 33,000 acres. In 2020, BLM proposed to have almost 7.5 million acres open to fluid mineral leasing, and then in 2024, it leaves just 845,000 acres open. That's 89% less. So you can see the dramatic differences between the plan in 2020 and the plan in 2024. There's a lot more I could go through, but the point is restrictions exploded in the final plan, while opportunities for economic development were severely curtailed. And we saw it over and over in Alaska over the last 4 years. We don't think it was any accident. You've heard my colleague speak on the floor about this a great deal, but it was just really the last administration's goal to reduce and curtail many of these activities. BLM's treatment of public land orders, which have been obsolete in Alaska for decades, also backslid dramatically. And these came to be in the 1970s when Alaska's land ownership was greatly unsettled, but they should have been revoked a long time ago. In 2020, BLM proposed to revoke 5.863 million acres of so-called D1 withdrawals. But then in 2024, BLM zeroes that out. And instead, they've only lifted withdrawals for 1 narrow purpose. It's an important purpose, but it's very narrow, and that's allotments for eligible Alaska-Vietnam veterans, but no others. In 2020, BLM proposed to lift PLO 5150, reflecting state and native selections around our Trans-Alaska Pipeline Corridor. But then in 2024, BLM reverses course, refused to lift a single acre of PLO 5150 within the RMP process. And the problem is that BLM told us, they told me, they told my team that they would address PLO 5150 through a separate process. They called it a tiered environmental assessment. And they said that that was going to begin immediately after the finalization of the Central Yukon RMP. But they just had to get to that point, and they just needed us to back off so they could. Guess what never happened? The day after the state of Alaska's consistency review period for the Central Yukon RMP ended, BLM canceled its separate process for PLO 5150. It was an absurd decision. BLM spent years telling us that they could only lift public land orders within the RMP process, and then as the Central Yukon RMP nears completion, they then tell us that they could only lift one of the most visible PLOs in Alaska outside of it. And then as soon as we reach that point, they break their promise, immediately pulling the whole thing down. My team was actually on the phone with BLM when this happened. They asked about the process, and they were told everything is on track, everything's going just fine. And right after, probably not even more than 30 minutes after that, BLM calls state officials to tell them it's off and never coming back. If that's not a bait and switch, I don't know what is. But this is where you can start to see how BLM's actions, both what it did and what it refused to do in this RMP, directly contradict multiple federal laws. The first is ANILCA, the Alaska National Interest Lands Conservation Act. That was Alaska's grand bargain. This is where Congress withdrew and conserved tens of millions of acres in our state in exchange for reasonable opportunities for economic development, whether it be within the 1002 area, the Ambler Road, but this was the deal back in 1980. And to confirm that Alaska had done its part for national conservation, ANILCA also includes several what we call no more clauses, reflecting the fact that we were done, no more wilderness needed to be designated in the state of Alaska. It should be pretty apparent that unilateral administrative designation of 3.6 million acres of ACECs, dozens of other restrictions across millions of other acres, and the retention of virtually all land withdrawals, which were supposed to be lifted decades ago, are all directly contrary to ANILCA. The Central Yukon Plan also conflicts with a law that I wrote called the Alaska Land Transfer Acceleration Act. Some people around here are still surprised that Alaska's land ownership is still not settled yet. 66 years after statehood, neither our state nor our native land entitlements have been fulfilled. We've got millions of acres remaining outstanding on both of these, and their settlement hinges on the federal government making available and then transferring selected lands. Congress agreed to enact my Alaska Land Transfer Acceleration Act back in 2004, and we set this goal that our land entitlements would be complete by 2009. That was the 50th anniversary of statehood. Well, that didn't happen, but some good did come from it. BLM surveyed its land withdrawals in Alaska, and then in 2006, there was a report to Congress that recommended that 95% of them, covering 152 million acres, could be lifted consistent with the protection of the public's interest. And the only caveat here was that BLM preferred to lift its orders through its land planning process. So we worked with them. We pushed to make that happen. We've appropriated funding to make it happen. But when BLM undertakes a new RMP and decides that not a single acre of a single PLO can be lifted across 13.3 million acres for any other purpose other than native allotments, you're going to see patience run out. And it turns to frustration, it turns to opposition, And it takes us to where we are today, which is congressional disapproval of a resource management plan. Now, I would also point out that the Central Yukon RMP conflicts with ANCSA, or the Alaska Native Claims Settlement Act. The regional ANC in the Central Yukon area, Doyon, has rightly pointed out that BLM's actions in this RMP would make it difficult, if not impossible, to utilize its lands for the benefit of its people in line with congressional intent. In a letter to Alaska's congressional delegation, Doyon explained how BLM's restrictive land designations will, quote, complicate access to and use of Doyon lands and potentially prevent Doyon from fully realizing the economic and other benefits that Congress intended it would enjoy as a result of ANCSA's settlement of Aboriginal claims. So, Mr. President, I'd ask that unanimous consent that the letter be included as part of the congressional record immediately following my remarks.
Without objection.
And, Mr. President, we also received a letter of support for this resolution from the North Slope Trilateral, which includes the Inupiat community of the Arctic Slope, the North Slope Borough, and the Arctic Slope Regional Corporation, ASRC. And their letter lays out in a series of fundamental flaws within the final Central Yukon Plan, including its failure to account for North Slope priorities, the impact that it would have on native lands, the barriers it creates to cooperative land management, the restrictions it imposes to foreclose the production of rare earth elements and other resources, as well as the lack of consultation with Alaska natives who live on the North Slope during its development. As the Trilateral writes, quote, the result is a plan that ignores congressional intent under both ANCSA and ANILCA, disregards the economic needs of North Slope communities, and creates unnecessary obstacles to infrastructure, energy, and community health across northern Alaska. So again, Mr. President, I would ask unanimous consent that the letter from the North Slope leaders be printed in the congressional record.
Without objection.
So, Mr. President, the sad part is that what these Alaskans are pointing to, restrictions that encumber access to lands and opportunities, was largely the point of BLM's final RMP. And that, again, points to why we're here to disapprove this plan. Now, I should point out that there's a big misunderstanding about the effects of this resolution. There's been some false claims out there. I think there's been some kind of sloppy reporting of them. But when the House passed this resolution, we saw over and over again in different articles that somehow or other that passage of that resolution had approved the Ambler Access Project, which is not the case. That project has been in permitting for a decade, and then just on Monday, President Trump issued a determination reapproving it, which we appreciate, but nothing in this disapproval resolution approves that project. So that's just misinformation out there. But what is true is that over the course of decades, Congress has ceded a lot of authority on federal land management to the executive branch. We trust them to follow the
moderators, keep the chat rolling.
Find a balance between competing uses and priorities. And we know it's not an easy job, especially in a state where you have more than 223 million federal acres. But when the agencies lose sight of that, it's our job here, it's our responsibility to rein them in, and that's what we're doing. We're reminding BLM that these are public lands that are generally available for multiple use, not exclusively conserved lands with layer after layer of administrative restrictions heaped onto them. Before I end here, I'd like to briefly discuss what comes next if we're able to pass this disapproval resolution. It should be very clear. Passage does not invalidate 12 years of agency work. It does not overturn the environmental analysis that's been done or the public comments that have been received. We are simply reopening this plan, and we're telling BLM, return, come back with a new one that is more balanced. And that shouldn't be hard, and it shouldn't take that long because the plan already exists. It was just abandoned once the Biden administration took office. For 8 years, BLM was on the right track in this process. It has a ready-made plan in the form of its preferred alternative from 2020. The record of decision from last year even acknowledges that the 2020 preferred alternative features a, quote, blend of resource protection and resource development. It's an actual balance between the two, and that's what we should be seeking. It's time to go back to that proposal, update it as needed based on the passage of time, and put into place a final Central Yukon plan that maintains access, respects multiple use, and conserves where necessary and appropriate. And it's entirely possible to serve the varied interests of this region. And through this resolution, that's exactly what we're telling BLM to do. And when they do, we'll have a final Central Yukon resource management plan that Alaska's delegation, the state of Alaska, the largest landowner in the region, Doyon, and a wide range of Alaskan stakeholders can support. So I would urge my colleagues to support this resolution. I yield the floor to my colleague from Alaska, who has worked very, very hard on this resolution, and appreciate his leadership of the same.
Salute, salute. Make sure y'all double tapping that screen, guys. That's how you hit the like button. Or click those three dots, hit the thumbs up. Make sure you're subscribing to the channel if you're new. Most definitely, man, they need to open back up the government, man. I blame both sides. I know they blaming each other, but I blame both sides, because if they could come to an agreement, the government could be open if they were really, in my opinion, concerned about the American people, guys. That's just me. I don't know how y'all feel. I can only speak on me.
To speak for up to 15 minutes prior to the scheduled roll call
as we wait Trump
without objection, consent to waive the mandatory
basically go live from the White House with updates on his peace deal, guys.
To calendar 167, Senate 2882, and calendar 168, HR 5371.
Without objection.
They supposed to be talking about this government shutdown that's been going on for 9 months, but we just got a lady got up there talking about BLM and land deals. What they got to do with anything? Let's open the government back up. What are we doing? Let's go, El Fizzle. Yeah, I don't know what her angle was to get up there and be talking about land and man, we need to be talking about y'all coming to a resolution so we can open the government back up, so people who are not getting paid because of this shutdown can start getting paid. Single mothers can start back getting their getting the help that they need from the government. Y'all playing political games, and at the same time, there's people suffering, man. I blame both sides. Only Rambo, tell your mama to shut up. Let's get Rambo out of my chat. Let's block him. Let's get him gone. You've been deported, sir. You don't got a green card anyway to be telling anybody to shut up. Tell your mama and your sister to shut up. Let's get only Rambo 333 out my chat.
Senator Velasquez,
he just got deported. Put him on a rocket ship.
Senator Murkowski, on her remarks on the vote that we're getting ready to take on the CRA, dealing with the Central Yukon plan. And I'm going to be a little bit briefer since she covered a lot of material.
What's up, Westside
Great job doing it. But I want to give my colleagues just a little sense of, these are the elements of why this plan, quote, plan, needs to be repealed by the U.S. Senate and part of a CRA. By the way, Mr. President, this is going to continue in the vein of what we did with your great state, Montana, and North Dakota, the last 2 days on the Senate floor with these CRAs. And what's going on here? Well, we all know what's going on here, both with regard to Montana and with regard to North Dakota, and of course with regard to Alaska. The previous administration came in and said,
thank you for the gift.
Even though it's probably illegal, we're going to try and lock up these states. because we don't want resource development on these states.
We're waiting
Now,
on Trump to
imagine,
go
Mr.
live,
President,
guys.
Senator Murkowski mentioned the Central Yukon plan that the Biden administration issued. We didn't want it. Nobody really wanted it in Alaska. It's almost 56 million acres, okay? That's the size of Virginia, Maryland, and Pennsylvania combined. Just that one plan. Gives you a sense of how big my state is. But can you imagine a president of the United States, if you were a Republican, telling the people of Virginia, Maryland, and Pennsylvania that they're going to be saddled with a plan they didn't want to large up large swaths of their land, destroying thousands of jobs, which is what this plan would do? Nobody would accept that. This plan, scheme of the Biden administration disregards local voices,
Thanks for the
ignores
100.
protections guaranteed under federal law, ANCSA and ANILCA, and undermines the ability of Alaska Native corporations who did not want it to access and responsibly develop their lands, which Congress gave them in the Alaska Native Claims Settlement Act in 1971. So these are the key elements of why it's a problem, Mr. President, and it's also part of a long pattern with the Biden administration that I never tire of reminding people. This is the chart we call the last frontier lockup. The last administration issued 70 executive orders and executive actions singularly focused on Alaska. 7-0. I confronted President Biden in the Oval Office respectfully when we were at 48. Here's the list of them, by the way, Mr. President, of the 70. That's each one, 7-0, only against Alaska. And I said, Mr. President, why are you doing this? Why are you going to war with my people? Working families, Americans. You're sanctioning Alaska more than you sanction Iran and Venezuela, and they're terrorist regimes. You know, he didn't know. I don't think he knew what was going on, but it was wrong. In this, by the way, Mr. President, this Central Yukon Management Plan was one of the 70 that we didn't want, that the vast majority of the Native people didn't want. Certainly that the Native Corporation Doyon, most of their land, they didn't want it. So, Mr. President, what we need to do instead, as opposed to locking up Alaska, as I said to President Biden, it's not good for Alaska, sir, but it's also not good for America, is we need to do this. Unleash Alaska's extraordinary resource potential. And by the way, thank you, President Trump. This is a day one executive order, one of the first executive order President Trump issued when he came into office in January and said, we're not going to lock up Alaska, we're going to unleash it. So, in his executive order, we also have essentially getting rid of this Central Yukon Management Plan.
Miss Amazing, what's going
the
on?
Biden administration. So thank you, Mr. President. Now my colleagues, I'm asking all of them, and I'm particularly asking my Democratic colleagues, because I want you guys to show that you're not so anti-Alaska. The Democratic Party at the national level has become the anti-Alaska party, an anti-Alaska Native party. So many things that we care about in my state, in the interest of the Native people. All my colleagues on the other side of the aisle make it a point to try to crush us in our opportunity and cancel Native voices. Yes, Indigenous voices. You're always working to cancel them. Here's your opportunity, Democrat colleagues, to vote yes on this CRA. Listen to me and Senator Murkowski, the people who represent the people in the great state of Alaska. Listen to President Trump. So that's what we want, and I'm going to just mention one final thing, Mr. President, why this is so important, why I get really animated about this with all my colleagues. A lot of people have seen this chart, but I like showing it because it's a really important issue. This is a chart from the American Medical Association from 1980 to 2014, and it had life expectancy in America, okay? So the places that are blue, darker blue, purple, if you look at the chart, these people are living longer. Purple is 13 years. So in 24 years, certain parts of America, the life expectancy of Americans increased by 13 years. Now, unfortunately, in our great nation, look at the yellow, orange, and red on this chart. That's actually life expectancy decreases. We, of course, nobody wants that. A lot of that was the opioid epidemic and things. But guess which state had the greatest increase in life expectancy of any place in America from 1980 to 2014? According to the American Medical Association, Alaska, especially the North Slope region, interior Alaska, the Aleutian Island area, Southeast Alaska. So what happened 1980 to 2014 in that part of Alaska? I'll tell you what happened. Responsible resource development happened. And people started living longer. They got jobs. They got water and sewer, flush toilets, gymnasiums, health clinics, things that the lower 48 just takes for granted that we didn't have in a lot of our state because we had responsible resource development, mining, oil and gas on the North Slope, fishing out on the Aleutian Island chains, all because of laws that we made here in the Congress. The people of Alaska, particularly the native people, started living longer. Living longer. I've asked my colleagues, I've used this chart a lot, give me an indicator of policy success more important than the people you represent are living.
It's very important, guys. Continue to double tap that screen. Get the likes up. Make sure you're subscribing to the channel if you are new. All you have to do to hit the like button is double tap your screen if you're on a mobile device, or click those 3 dots and hit that thumbs up, guys. Support the channel. You don't have to do it monetarily. You can do it simply by hitting the like button. And once again, the way you do that is double tapping your screen if you're on a mobile device, or click those 3 dots and hit that thumbs up. If you would like to support the channel monetarily, you can most definitely send a gift, send a Cash App or a Super Chat. You know, either way is fine with me, man. But most definitely hit that like button, guys, and keep the likes moving.
And how long they live. So, Mr. President, this is really important for me and the people I represent. This is a good opportunity to tell the Biden administration, hey, you're not going to do this. You're not going to do it to Montana. You're not going to do it to North Dakota. And you're certainly not going to do it to Alaska, because you're going to negatively impact people's lives. So I really hope my colleagues on both sides of the aisle, and I really hope at least 1 or 2 Democrats have the courage to come and say, you know what, Dan, you've been talking about this for 10 years. I agree with you. I'm going to vote to rescind this Biden CRA, or this Biden Yukon management plan that nobody wanted, to help your state and help America. One more thing, Mr. President. In this part of the state where that central Yukon management plan is, like I said, 56 million acres, 51 of the 56 critical minerals that our country needs are in this area. You know, I was in an armed services hearing recently, and everybody, including a lot of my Democrat colleagues, like, gosh, we're so reliant on China for critical minerals. What can we do? I can tell you what you can do. Quit shutting down my state. Let us develop critical minerals in Alaska as opposed to relying on them from China. So that's another reason this is important for national security of our country. And with that, I ask all my colleagues to support this CRA, and I yield the floor.
Senator of Mississippi.
I ask unanimous consent that at a time to be determined by the majority leader in consultation with the Democratic leader, and notwithstanding Rule 22, it be in order to call up the following amendments to Calendar 115 S 2296. Paul, number 3761. Cruz, number 3274. Scott of Florida, number 3535. Marshall, number 3213. Moran, number 3814. Curtis, number 3697. Lee Duckworth, number 3288. Cotton Gillibrand, number 3759. Cornyn Cortez Masto, number 3926. Haggerty Peters, number 3841. Schumer, number 3109, Van Hollen, number 3872, Duckworth, number 3210, Warnock, number 3010, Kane, number 3337. Sanders, number 3853. Merkley, number 3927. Further, that with respect to the amendments listed above, at a time to be determined by the majority leader in consultation with the Democratic leader, the Senate vote on the amendments in the order listed, with no further amendments or motions in order, and with 60 affirmative votes required for adoption, and that there be 2 minutes equally divided prior to each vote. Further, that upon disposition of the Merkley Amendment 3927, the following amendments be called up and made pending en bloc, and that they be the only remaining amendments in order to S 2296. Scott of South Carolina, 3340. Hassan, 2928. Grassley, 3355. Warnock, 2952. McCormick, 3376. Ossoff, 2971. Cornyn, 3405. Kane, 3039. Capito, 3435. Gallego, 3136. Langford, 3439. Duckworth, 3156. Blackburn, 3489. Shaheen, 3351. Kennedy, 3703. Booker, 3530. Daines, 3732. Slotkin, 3557. Ricketts, 3788. Peters, 3570. Hawley, 3799. Hickenlooper, 3601. Rounds, 3810. Coons, 3712. Tillis, 3811. Cortez Masto, 3724. Moran, 3813. Klobuchar, 3751. Grassley, 3823. Klobuchar, 3818. Kennedy, 3702. Durbin, 3825. Fisher, 3842. Padilla, 3834. Cruz, 3890. Hirono, 2979. Grassley, Durbin, 3272. Cruz, Cantwell, 3742. Scott of South Carolina, Warren, 3901. Rish Shaheen, 3819. Graham, 3899. Sullivan Whitehouse, 3888. Collins, 3880. Hirono, 3015. Peters, 3753. Shaheen Rish, 3826. Coons, 3728. Gallego, 3928. That the Senate vote on the amendments en bloc, that upon disposition of the amendments, the pending Thune amendments and motions be withdrawn. The Ernst Amendment 3427 be agreed to. The Wicker-Reed Substitute Amendment 3748 as modified and as amended be agreed to. The bill as amended be considered read a third time, and that the Senate vote on passage of the bill as amended with 60 affirmative votes required for passage. And if passed, the motions to reconsider be considered made and laid upon the table.
Hey, yeah.
Is there objection? Without objection, so ordered. Senator Mississippi.
On behalf of the leader, I ask unanimous consent that it be in order for the two leaders to enter motions to reconsider without being on the prevailing side with respect to the cloture votes on the motion to proceed to S 2882 and HR 5371.
Without objection.
Thank you, Mr. President.
The clerk will report the motion to invoke cloture.
Cloture motion. We, the undersigned senators, in accordance with the provisions of Rule 22 of the Standing Rules of the Senate, do hereby move to bring to a close the debate on the motion to proceed to calendar number 167 S2882, a bill making continuing appropriations for the fiscal year ending September 30th, 2026, and for other purposes, signed by 17 senators.
By unanimous consent, the mandatory quorum call has been waived. The question is it the sense of the Senate that debated on the motion to proceed to S2882, a bill making continuing appropriations for the fiscal year ending September 30th, 2026, and for other purposes, shall be brought to a close? The yeas and nays are mandatory under the rule. The clerk will call the roll.
Ms. Alsobrooks, Ms. Baldwin, Mr. Banks, Mr. Barrasso. Mr. Bennett, Mrs. Blackburn. Mr. Blumenthal, Ms. Blunt Rochester, Mr. Booker,
What do y'all think, guys? Whose side are you on, Republican or Democrat? Let me know in the chat, guys. Continue to get those likes up. Click the three dots, hit that thumbs up if you do not mind. If you're new to the channel, most definitely subscribe, guys.
Mr. Budd, Ms. Cantwell, Mrs. Capito.
I like that Toombs says he's on God's side.
Ms. Collins, Mr. Coons, Mr. Cornyn, Ms. Cortez Masto, Mr. Cotton, Mr. Kramer, Mr. Crapo,
I'm side of right for Americans. Let's go. Brian says, Bison says that he's Democrat. Cat say independent from Oregon. Let's go. The Constitution side. Let's go, Keith. Absolutely. Like how they want to announce their own vote so they can lie about how they voted.
Mr. Durbin.
They need to open up the government, no joke. I'm not on neither side because both sides are liars, allegedly. Let's go, Miss D. I feel you. I feel you, man. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion, guys. We're just reporting on it. You know, I can't tell you how to feel.
Mr. Grassley. Mr. Haggerty. Ms. Hassan.
Vote Republican as an independent, but it shouldn't be sides. We should all be on Team America together. Okay, Brandon. Moja says California only has 2 senators with a population of 40 million. South Dakota has 2 senators with a population of 910,000. What in the world? Okay. They say democracy. Hi, GG. Okay. Republic. I'm on the people's side. Let's go, Hell Knight. Like how you say it. Like how you say it. Like how why say it. Okay. Look, we all need to wake up. We all need to stand up for what is right. Jesus even commanded us to do this. Okay. I don't care the side. All right, Peachy. We can't hear what you talking. It ain't nothing to hear, bang bang boogie. And this is my channel. I'm going to talk as much as I want to. If you don't like it, go watch another channel. How about that? What's up, Miss Amazing?
Mr. Lee. Mr. Lujan. Ms. Lummis.
Acting like it's a lot to hear. All they doing is calling out names.
Mr. Marshall.
They not telling you nothing super important right now anyway. It's bigger than politics. It's good versus evil, okay? Nene Bang is most definitely not okay.
Mr. Merkley. Mrs. Moody. Mr.
Bang probably not even from America. Bang probably from Pakistan or something. But hell, can we cover the football player, Mr. Lacey story since new findings coming out? I thought about that too, Ballin.
Ms. Murkowski.
That's the one they accused of that wreck, right?
Mr. Murphy. Mrs. Murray,
This is the Senate.
Mr. Ossoff, Mr. Padilla, Mr. Peters, Mr. Reed, Mr. Ricketts, Mr. Risch,
I appreciate what you do, bro. Too many of these other channels are
Ms.
heavily
Rosen,
one-sided and just get online, bash the other side,
Mr.
and
Rounds,
divide people further. Absolutely, everything news is
Mr.
the unbiased
Sanders,
platform, man. We just report the news and we try to get both sides, bro. I'm not biasing
Mr.
any
Schatz,
form of the fact. You hear me? I want to hear what both sides
Mr.
got to
Schiff,
say. I'm gonna put them together, and then we come up with our own conclusion
Mr.
about how we
Schmidt,
feel. You'll never know what's going on just listening to one side. You have to listen to
Mr.
both
Schumer,
sides because it's this side story, that side story,
Mr.
and
Scott
then
of
in the middle
Florida,
is the truth, guy.
Mr. Scott of South Carolina, Mrs. Shaheen, Mr. Sheehy, Miss Slotkin, Ms. Smith, Mr. Sullivan, Mr. Thune, Mr. Tillis, Mr. Tuberville,
Look at Glenn come in talking about it's the Democrats' fault. It's not just their fault. It's both parties' fault, if you ask me. They're too busy bickering with each other instead of trying to come up with a resolution that benefits the
Van
American
Hollen,
people. The shutdown of the
Mr.
government is not a
Warner,
good thing. And it takes both parties to make that happen. So you
Mr.
can't just
Warnock,
cast
Ms.
blame
Warren,
on one side. To me, you have to
Mr.
blame both
Welch,
sides. They need to sit
Mr.
down and come up
Whitehouse,
with a resolution, guys,
Mr. Wicker, Mr. Wyden,
in my opinion.
Mr. Young,
The Republicans, I think the Republicans are the majority right now. If I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong, but I think the Republicans are the majority right now, to be honest. And it looked like they have stopped the stream, guys. I guess they're done with that. All right. Well, let's do this. Hold on. Yeah, let's get ready for Trump to give his speech about what's going on with the hostages in Gaza, guys. I've most definitely heard that he came with a peace deal, guys. To my understanding, let's get this all set up so we can get into it. Hold on, you know what I'm saying? Give me half a second to get this together. Make sure y'all double tapping that screen, guys. Get the likes up. Most definitely. Hold on, give me a second. I gotta make sure we can see everything we need to see. Hold up. All right, hold on. For y'all that don't know what's going on, let's do this until he goes live from the White House with his official press conference. This is basically what's going on right now. What we're waiting on.
We know what's happened when they took out Iran's.
You know that. This is a Fox News alert. President Trump announcing an historic peace deal. It has been reached in the Middle East, and it promises to end the 2-year war between Israel and Hamas and bring every remaining hostage, dead or alive, back home.
So much is happening to get the hostages freed, and we think they'll all be coming back on Monday. So it looks like that's the thing, and that'll include the bodies of the dead, and you know the parents.
Trump's press conference from the White House on this issue with Gaza, guys, is in about 5 minutes. So for y'all who don't know what's going on, this is like a quick catch up until they start the live stream, guys. Shout out to everybody in the building. Continue to get those likes up. Let's hit that like button. If you don't do nothing else, click those 3 dots. Hit the thumbs up, guys. Most definitely subscribe to this channel if you're new. This is Everything News, and we're covering everything that's in the news. Shout out to y'all.
Parents that I talked to so many of them, but the parents are almost more intent, but equally intent.
Thank you for the cup of
getting
coffee.
their,
Thank
in
you.
just about all cases, their
Becky.
son's body back than they are, as though the young man was alive. It's just the same intensity. They want their baby's body back. That's what one woman said. I want my baby's body back. And, you know, the son is 25, 26 years old. So that's a very big part of it.
So we got to witness the deal get pushed over the finish line in real time as the Secretary of State Marco Rubio interrupted a White House meeting to slide the president this urgent note.
They're smart, but they're not smart enough. Oh, my microphone's broken. Departments to find the criminal conspiracy.
Okay, thank you. I was just given a note by the Secretary of State saying that we're very close to a deal in the Middle East, and they're going to need me pretty quickly.
Most transparent presidency you're ever going to see.
Wow.
Emotional scenes breaking out in Israel, understandably, last night as friends and family of the hostages.
They are
heard the news.
celebrating,
They're coming
guys.
together to
They're
celebrate
saying Trump has
as we now
freed
wait
the
to see if Hamas
hostages.
ends its reign of terror and holds up their end of the bargain. And that's going to be key, guys. They got to get the 52 in place, the 20 plus that we hope are alive, and then bring them from different desperate parts of Gaza, bring them together and get them out. Now, in turn, there's going to be a lot of prisoners that are going to be getting out. And I guess they got to settle on the numbers now and who's on the roster of prisoners to be released. 200 plus are on life sentences.
So part of the difficulty here with this deal, Brian and Ainsley, is that when they did October the 7th, they put the prisoners all over, sent them to other proxies around the world, and now they have to locate all of them. Some of them they could get back pretty much immediately, but the other ones are going to have to track down, including the dead bodies. But what an accomplishment, not just for this president, but for the country, for Israel, and for the world. This is phase one. So all the hostages will be brought home on Monday, we're being told. Israel will withdraw its troops from Gaza, and all parties, President Trump says, will be treated fairly. Those images are very touching of seeing these loved ones, their family members, praising Donald Trump, dancing in circles, flying the Israeli flag, and look, flying the American flag there in Tel Aviv as well. This is being felt around the world. We're getting reaction from Democratic lawmakers here in the United States, as well as obviously Republicans praising Donald Trump. Prime Minister of the UK, we're hearing from Benjamin Netanyahu thanking Donald Trump and inviting him to address the Israeli parliament on Sunday.
Here's a reaction from the hostage families.
President Trump, you have the best crowd in the world. What do you guys have to say to President Trump? Thank you. Thank you. You did it.
Wow. You did it.
Wow.
Thank you.
This is amazing. Mr. President, we believe in you. We know you've done so much for us over the past, since you became a president, and even before that. And we trust you'll fulfill the mission until every hostage, every 48 of the hostages are home. Thank you so much. Blessed be the peacemakers. God bless you, Mr. President. God bless America.
Thank you very much. You just take care of yourselves. The hostages will come back. They're all coming back on Monday.
All Thank you, sir. Thank you.
So long. Goodbye.
this does not happen without the president, Brian, but it also doesn't happen without these families as well. They kind of went over the process when it comes to going through all the diplomatic, hurdles, and they went straight to the president of the United States because they knew he was the only one that could get this done.
Yeah, I think that's a great point because the families were really great advocates for their loved ones and their family members and friends. But they have to also be cognizant of the fact that if they just said, give me all the hostages back as everyone would want, they'd say, well, there's going to be another 2,000 killed because Hamas made it clear this is just the beginning. We're going to keep giving you more October 7th. That's what the prime minister has in his head. I have to eliminate this consistent sense of doom that Hamas, with daily rockets into all different areas arbitrarily into Israel, has to stop. And we know what's happened when they took out Iran's nuclear program and they severely almost destroyed Hezbollah. We hope they're finished off soon. But a couple of things that are going on. How is it that the Palestinian Authority, the Egyptian president, the prime minister of Israel, the hostage families, Hamas calling on Donald Trump to confirm this deal and make Israel follow through, they all have one thing in common. They all have different interests, but they all were leaning on President Trump to bring this plane in. And I'm not exaggerating. How did he do it? This is what's going to be written about. How did he remain the most popular politician in Israel while being the most accessible in the Arab world and possibly the most respected at the most divisive time?
Yep. There are two Americans that are believed to be dead, that are hostages, that their bodies will be brought back home. There's Itay Chen, 19-year-old dual U.S. and Israeli citizen, was serving the IDF when he was killed. Born in the U.S. and raised in Israel, and former Boy Scout, loved basketball and video games, but his parents are demanding for the return of their son's body for a proper burial. There's also Omer Nutra. He's a 21-year-old dual U.S. Israeli citizen, a native of Plainview, New York, deferred college to go and serve in the IDF, and was a tank platoon commander and the grandson of Holocaust survivors.
Brian, to your point, the president used multiple tools with this deal. He used the economic prosperity. Okay, do you want to be open up your country to businesses there? Do you want a better future? This is something that he tried to get
the hostages, guys,
to understand, is that he tried to paint this picture of prosperity, but he also used force. The destruction of the nuclear sites of Iran definitely put pressure, and he also used tariffs as well.
Look at these pictures, Lawrence and Brian. I mean, they're all so young. Imagine what they've been through. And we're so grateful that they will be coming home, but they'll have a lot of healing ahead of them.
Right, and we hope that number is in the high 20s, but we just don't know. An extremely rare moment unfolding on the word of the historic deals, both Israelis and Palestinians celebrating in the street.
Steve Harrigan joins us now from Tel Aviv with details on what comes next. Steve.
This is what Trump is going to be speaking on in a second,
officials
guys.
now announcing that there is a ceasefire in Gaza. Now, Israeli forces still on the territory. They will respond if attacked, but basically taking up a defensive posture right now. So certainly an excellent sign. Ceasefire in this 2-year war from the Israeli side. President Trump saying the 48 hostages will be coming home on Monday. What we're going to see here next will be an Israeli cabinet meeting. It's likely that most or all of those cabinet members will sign off on this deal. And then over the next 24 hours, we're likely to see the Israeli military redeploy inside of Gaza, moving back to a predetermined line. It's not exactly clear where that line will be at this point. After all the 48 hostages are released, only then will the Palestinian prisoners, 250 of them serving life terms, be released. Really, across this nation, people woke up with a tremendous sense of joy that you can just feel, especially family members of those living and of those who died in Hamas captivity.
It's a happy day. It's a holiday here. That's what we wanted for such a long time. Carmel, my cousin, was murdered in captivity. She's not going to come back. It's too late for her, but it's not too late for 48 hostages who are going to come back. 20 of them are going to come back alive. And this is such a happy moment for us, the families of the hostages. Such a happy moment for all Israelis and for all the...
Y'all heard what he said? 40 hostages, 20 are unalive, and 20 are coming back alive. Wow.
Is to come back to be returned to their families, and you can see there just how important it is. Of course, challenges still remain in the bigger picture, in the longer term. Israel wants Hamas to disarm. Israel wants to make sure Hamas will play no role in a future government of Gaza. Those points still to be worked out. But President Trump invited to address the Knesset Sunday and then witness some of his masterful diplomacy. Guys, back to you.
All right, thanks so much, Steve. The last thing, and we'll talk to Steve a little bit later, but I just think that the president gets that word when he's having the Antifa conference, and then as the details are getting ironed out, as Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff led our delegation, then he was kind enough to hop on with Sean last night.
Yes, here is Donald Trump talking about how the world has come together around this deal.
We had some tremendous help, as you know, with everybody from Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner and Marco, and we had everybody, JD, the whole group was just amazing. And the military was, as you know, very instrumental in getting this done. We have a great military with great leadership. The whole world came together, to be honest. So many countries that you wouldn't have even thought of it, they came together. The world has come together around this deal.
So the world came together, but also, Brian, I think it's important to know that the president was already on this path in the first term. That's why I think it was so important to bring Jared Kushner in the final days of this, because obviously he was the architect of the Abraham Accords under the president's leadership. If he would have had another term back to back, I think October 7th would have never happened, for one. And number two, there would have been peace. He's picking up where he left off.
Right. And the Arab world coming together,
All right, guys.
working with us, letting us take the...
We're live, guys. Trump is live. Let's see what he's talking about. Why come I can't hear him? He's speaking and they haven't even turned on the microphone.
All of the remaining hostages, and they should be released
on
Monday or Tuesday. Getting them is a complicated process. I'd rather not tell you what they have to do to get them. There are places you don't want to be.
Hold on.
But we are getting the hostages back on Tuesday, Monday or Tuesday. And that'll be a day of joy.
Hold up. We got to find where it's at. Where are they talking? There we go.
Next time we're going to go to Egypt, where we'll have a signing, an additional signing. We've already had a signing representing me, but we're going to have an official signing. And the amazing thing is all of the countries over there, from Qatar to Saudi Arabia to UAE to all of them, I mean, the rich ones, the less than rich ones, they've all come together, something which is amazing, actually. They've all come together for this, and they're really probably the best relationships they've ever had. So it's been really something incredible, and nobody thought it was possible to get it done. And very importantly, the hostages are coming back. As you know, they consider them hostages. They talk about them as hostages,
guys.
but there are approximately 28 dead people, mostly young, mostly men, but and boys. I mean, boys. The one woman talked about her baby. Her baby's 25 years old, but you know, to her it's her baby, and we're bringing them home. We're getting them we're getting everything, and to those parents, the dead young man is just as important, as though this person were alive. It's amazing. I've never seen anything quite like it. I've been very much involved. I've never seen anything quite like it. But it's really peace in the Middle East. And you remember October 7th was terrible, but also from the Hamas standpoint, they probably lost 70,000 people. That's big retribution. That's big retribution. But at some point, that whole thing has to stop. And we're going to see to it. Gaza is going to be slowly redone. You have tremendous wealth in that part of the world by certain countries, and just a small part of that, what they make will do wonders for Gaza. And I think you're going to see some tremendous countries stepping up and putting up a lot of money and taking care of things. But there's tremendous spirit like I haven't seen, and even the news. I won't call it fake news for this purpose, because they really were very fair today, I must tell you, in all cases. But they covered it very well. They covered it very fairly. Everybody loves it. Everybody. People that were never giving us a fair shake, frankly, they they can't even believe it. They're so they're amazed by it. A lot of people are, but it was just everything came together. I think the attack was very important on Iran because let's say that didn't happen, they'd probably by now have a nuclear weapon, numerous nuclear weapons, and therefore even if we signed a deal, there'd be a big dark cloud over it. And it wouldn't be the same thing. So Iran's different, but Iran wants to work on peace now. They've informed us, and they've acknowledged that they are totally in favor of this deal. They think it's a great thing. So we appreciate that, and we'll work with Iran. As you know, we have major sanctions on Iran and lots of other things. We'd like to see them be able to rebuild their country too, but they can't have a nuclear weapon. So I want to express my tremendous gratitude to the leaders of Qatar, Egypt, and Turkey for helping us reach this incredible day and for being there. They were there with us all the way. And of course, as you know, Saudi Arabia and Jordan and so many. I will tell you, President Erdogan was personally involved in dealing with Hamas and some of the others. He's been great. They've all been really amazing. Indonesia's been amazing. Indonesia's been fantastic. The whole world has come together for this. People that didn't get along, people that didn't like each other, neighboring countries that frankly didn't like each other, but now it's just this moment in time. So we look forward to welcoming the hostages, like you can't believe, home to their families, and that'll take place early next week. We hope Monday or Tuesday. And all Americans should be proud of the role that our country has played in bringing this terrible conflict to an end. And I want to thank, some of the people, JD, you were fantastic, and Pete, you were great. Marco was fantastic. Some of you were very much involved. I'm looking around. So indirectly, I think almost everybody in this room was involved. Susie, I want to thank you very much. You were incredible. You've done an incredible job. So, and yes, John, what you've done was invaluable. CIA, John Ratcliffe, and he's done an incredible job. So I want to thank you all, and if I'm missing anybody, I apologize, but you've been amazing. And then you have Steve Witkoff, who worked so hard. And you remember we settled 7, this is number 8, we settled 7 wars or major conflicts, but wars. And this is number 8. And the one that I thought would be maybe the quickest of all would be Russia-Ukraine, and I think that's going to happen too. But in the meantime, they're losing about 7,000 people a week, and that seems pretty bad. They're losing mostly soldiers, young soldiers. They go out to war and they're getting killed. And while it doesn't affect us in a lot of ways, we've got a big ocean in between. You don't want to see that happen. It was a big mistake. That war should have never happened. It would have never happened if I were president. So we're here this morning for a cabinet meeting as my administration continues to deliver for the American people, despite the radical left lunatics that shut down our government. You have Democrats that they've lost their way. They have no leadership. We don't even know who to deal with over there.
More to blame,
They know who to deal with. We have no idea who we're dealing with over there. It's like they have no idea what they're doing. Republicans have voted repeatedly to pass a clean, nonpartisan bill to reopen government at the same funding levels. We're not going to do anything only good for health care. We're really, I think, become the party of good health care. And they keep using health care as a cudgel. Want to try and get everyone thinking about health care. We're the ones that are saving health care. In fact, one of the things we're doing is we're going to be reducing the cost of medicines by 100%, 200, 300, 500%, and even more than that, because as you know, we're in the process of favored nations right now. We've exercised a clause because we were subsidizing the entire world. The entire world pays a fraction of what the United States has been paying. And we've already, numerous Pfizer and other companies have already signed, and other countries are a bigger problem because they've been getting a subsidized rate. We've been paying for years. This has gone on for 30 years. We've been reducing the rate of drugs for other countries because we've been paying much more than we're supposed to. And they used all sorts of ideas like research and development. I said, what about Germany? What about these other countries? Aren't they paying? No, we have to pay research and development. It was all nonsense, and I couldn't listen to it anymore. So it's a very radical, big, tough shift. Very tough. We got a lot of things going up there. But, you know, and you probably heard me say this in my first term, I think it was my third year, we reduced drugs from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. And I was so proud of it. I actually had a news conference to announce it, and it was 1/8 of 1%. Think of that, which is barely a reduction. But it's the first time in 28 years that there was a reduction in drug prices for the year. So from the beginning to the end, it was 1/8 of 1%. And I was so proud of myself. I did something that nobody else could do. But when I started to think about it, I said, doesn't make sense. And then I'm starting to look at numbers where a pill or a treatment or some pharmaceutical product is selling in Europe for 10% of what we pay for in New York City or in any one of our places, and cities, states. And then I see people leaving for other countries to go buy their pharmaceuticals, where they make journeys to various other countries, including Europe, where they got the best bargains of all. And I put it into it, it's over. And now we're, you know, in major, I guess, disputes, but we're winning the disputes by a lot. With the countries, a couple of countries said, we won't do this. I said, well, it's unfair that we're paying 10%, and, you know, you're paying just a fraction of what we're paying for the same product made in the same plant. And they said, well, we're not going to do it. I said, that's okay. You don't have to do it. But I'm going to put a tariff of 9% or 7% or whatever the amount of money is. And I'm going to put a tariff on your country for the amount of money that you're taking advantage of us for. No, you guys said, yeah, I can do that. I'm going to do that. And they would immediately agree. And it'd make the tariff substantially more than the number we're talking about. And they would immediately agree. So we have the consent, I think, Bobby, of every country, essentially. They know that if they don't do it, we're going to put a tariff on for double the price, and then they're going to do it. So we never had that before. You never had anybody in here that knew what the hell they were doing, I'll be honest. It really it makes me angry. Because for years and years, and this started many years ago, and basically we subsidize the world. So this is going to have a huge positive impact on Medicare, Medicaid, even Social Security. But anything where there's pharmaceuticals, drugs involved, it's going to have a tremendous impact. So we're going to get drug reductions of 100%. I told you 1/8 of 1%, and I was proud of myself. Now you're going to get 100%, 150%, 200, 300, 400, 500%. You're going to get the biggest drug reductions that you've ever seen. And they're already, I guess they're starting to kick in, but we've made deals with numerous companies and we're going for the full bore. We want whatever the price is. So that would mean that the world price, because the world is bigger than the United States, a lot more people, but the world price will go up a little bit and our price will come down a lot. So if a pill sells for $10 in London and $100 here, the pill will go to $20 in London and $20 for us. It's pretty simple. And that is a number that nobody can even fathom. It's a little like tariffs. Nobody knew how big they were. Nobody knew until they started seeing the trillions of dollars that have come in. I don't know why they didn't understand it. It's something they should have understood. We were taken advantage of for years with tariffs, and now I don't want to say we're taking advantage, but we've become a very strong country because of the money that's coming in. Republicans have voted repeatedly to pass a clean, nonpartisan bill to reopen our government, and remember, at the same funding levels both parties have supported in the past. So the radical Democrats have chosen to put the economy of our country. We have the best economy we've ever had. We had the best economy in my first term, but we have an economy that's blowing it away, and we have the Democrats that are trying to obstruct. They don't want to have a good economy. I don't think they want to have a good country. That's why they try and stop our law enforcement from doing what we did in Washington, D.C. Washington, D.C., we have a great, safe, beautiful capital right now. Beautiful. It's so safe. You can walk down the street. Numerous people standing before me were mugged. And you're not going to get mugged anymore. We have a safe capital, one of the safest. We took it from one of the most unsafe places to one of the most safe places in the country. And we also beautified it, and we're in the process of doing even more so. So we're very proud of our capital again. We were embarrassed by our capital. A lot of people being killed. They'd come from Iowa, Indiana, Florida. They'd come up, and they end up getting shot. They're not getting shot. We moved out 1,700 people approximately, right? Approximately 1,700 hardened criminals, career criminals. They moved them out. So Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries and the congressional Democrats are holding the entire federal government hostage. I will tell you, a lot of Democrats want to get this thing open too. They do. They're calling us, and they just want to get it open. And all we're doing is saying, just play the same thing until we get it straight. And they don't know how to go about it. I mean, and the problem is we really don't know who the hell is leading the Democrats. You have this AOC. I don't know her at all, but I watched her the other day. She said, well, if they want, they could come to my office. That's not leadership, you know. The only one that challenged her actually was Nancy Pelosi, and Nancy's not looking too good. I don't know what happened to Nancy, but she's not looking great. But she was the only one, I give her credit, she was the only one that challenged her. But AOC said that they can come to her office and negotiate, the Republicans. And we're saying, oh, I didn't know she was in leadership. But she's taking Hakeem Jeffries' place, and Schumer's afraid that she's going to run against him. And right now, I don't know, it can change, life is crazy, right? But right now he can't beat, I don't think he can beat anybody. So he'll lose in a primary. I would say he'll retire before he loses in a primary. So I think Schumer's going to retire because he can't beat anybody. His polls are so bad. Meanwhile, the Democrat shutdown is causing pain and suffering for hardworking Americans, including our military, our air traffic controllers, and impoverished mothers, people with young children, people that have to live not the greatest of lives. But we're doing so many tax cuts. We've cut their taxes, the great big beautiful bill. We've cut their taxes at levels that nobody's ever seen. I mean, no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, no tax on overtime. It's been a great thing for a lot of people. They're doing great. Despite all of the damage that it's caused, the shutdown has been, pretty damaging.
Thank you, IGT.
Not yet, because it's early, but it gets a little bit worse as it goes along. And we'll be making cuts that will be permanent. And we're only going to cut Democrat programs. I hate to tell you. I guess that makes sense. But we're only cutting Democrat programs. But we're going to start that, and we have Russell. We can talk to you about it if he wants to, but we'll be cutting some very popular Democrat programs that aren't popular with Republicans, frankly, because that's the way it works. They wanted to do this, so we'll give them a little taste of their own medicine. But Chuck Schumer proclaimed this morning that every day gets better for them. No, every day it's actually getting worse for them, and they're having a rebellion in the Democrat Party because they want to stop. And if you saw all of Schumer's, I watched last night like 10 different times over the years, he said, you can't shut down government, you can't shut down, and now he's the one that shut it down. So this is a confession that he's acting not to serve the people, but to serve the partisan interests of his party. And I don't think he's serving them well because they're way down. Look, they just lost an election in a landslide. You know, it was interesting. I watched Kamala, who's a sad figure. I watched her the other day saying the election was very close. I said, no, the election was a landslide. We won the popular vote by millions. We won the electoral college by, I think, 312 or 315 to 220 something. But there's another one that we won that's why when you see the maps are completely red. It's counties. The counties, we won at 2,505 to 525. So 2,500 to 525. That's called one of the greatest, biggest landslides in history. And that's one that people are using now as a primary. But literally when you see it colored in, the entire country is red representing Republicans. So, they go around, they just lie. And everything's a big lie with them. Well, the other side, and the other thing I don't understand is, Christie, I looked at crime numbers in Chicago. They're through the roof, and I have a governor who stands up every day and tells us how wonderful Chicago is. It's just a lie. It's like a con job. It's like Gavin Newsom. He says how well he's doing in California, and they're doing terribly. Population's getting smaller, people are leaving, and other people are coming in, and, I wouldn't say it's an even trade. While the other side is focused on playing games, the Trump administration is focused on creating jobs, bringing down prices, and we've really brought them down a lot. That's the other thing. We're bringing down prices a lot. We're bringing down grocery prices, but the big thing is energy. When you bring down energy, everything comes down, and the energy prices are way down. I see we're down to about $61 now a barrel, and what gasoline's going to be, I think gasoline's going to be below $2 at some point in the pretty near future. It's very low, much lower than it was under.
Is it really?
And we're restoring law and order in our country. We're restoring it here, but we're restoring it right now. We're in Memphis. We're going to Chicago. We're going to other cities. Many governors are asking us to, including Democrats are trying to ask. I don't know what the big problem is. If I were a Democrat governor, I'd be saying, whatever you can do to get crime down, I'll take anybody. You can bring them in I don't care who it is. A lot of people said that. They interviewed women, these beautiful women in Chicago, black women with a MAGA hat, a red hat. They said, we don't care who he brings in here, but this place is really dangerous. We just want crime to stop. It's true. They don't care. They don't differentiate between the National Guard and the Marines. They don't care. They'll take anybody. And that's the way it is. I mean, they want what we did in D.C., they want to happen to them. And it's happening in Memphis already. I see in less than a week, the numbers are really good. And it'll be great, and we'll fix that. We'll go to various other places, and we're going to be stopping crime in our cities. And that's a great thing, and we won't get credit for it, but it's a great thing. We've launched a historic campaign to take back our nation from the gangs and the street criminals, violent repeat offenders, illegal alien lawbreakers, domestic extremists, and savage, bloodthirsty cartels. And very little, by the way, is coming in by water, in case you haven't known. The drugs aren't coming in by water. In fact, we can't even find any boats in the water anymore. We had boats, we were like a subway train loaded up with drugs. Every single boat that you see getting taken out kills 25,000 Americans. Think of that. Because it's pretty tough stuff, but it kills 25,000 Americans. So when you hear that, it's no longer tough. But here in Washington, we've deployed federal law enforcement and National Guard to restore public safety, and we're working to replicate that in numerous places all over the country. And we have a very powerful military. We have a very powerful National Guard. I want to thank the governor of Texas, who has been, as usual, great. Governor Abbott, he
Governor Hot Wheels
troops without even a question, and we have other governors likewise doing what has to be done because they know we have to confront crime. We're directly confronting the sinister threat of left-wing domestic terrorism and violence, including the terrorist group Antifa. You saw that yesterday. We had a news conference. Antifa's out of control in Portland and other places, but mostly Portland in the case of Antifa. We had people that were really badly affected by them. It was terrible. So one of those things, but we're knocking the hell out of them. And we're looking for the people that are funding them, and those people are going to be just as guilty as the people that smack people over the head with a baseball bat. And I'd like now to ask Attorney General Bondi and Secretary Noem to discuss this a little bit and tell where we are.
More Bondi.
And then we'll go around the room. We'll go quickly. We're going to go quickly if we can because we have a lot of things to do, including I won't be spending that much time here because I'll be leaving fairly soon for the Middle East. And I'm very honored to be involved with that, I'll tell you. It's a great thing for our country. People are so happy about it. I've never experienced anything quite like it. I've never seen such universal praise for being able to do something. No, it's something that nobody thought was possible, and we're going to end up having peace in the Middle East. Who would have thought? So, Pam, could you start, and then Christy, please.
Sure, President Trump, and despite the Democrat shutdown of our government, our law enforcement officers are out there working without paychecks, round the clock to keep and make America safe. Secretary Hegseth and I were recently in Memphis. We had 1,100 law enforcement officers in one room with us. The Memphis PD, they were the happiest to see us, don't you think, Secretary Hegseth, of anyone? We had ATF, DEA, FBI, U.S. Marshals. I'm not sure if our park police were there. We had Treasury, Secretary Bessent, and of course we had Secretary Nones, Homeland Security, all working together with the Guard. They were so happy to have us there. We've been making arrests left and right. So far, we made 562 arrests and seized 144 illegal guns, just in the short time we've been in Memphis.
And many of these people are career criminals. And when you take them out of a place, your crime rate just goes down. These people commit crimes every single day. They're sick. And we're taking them out. In some cases, we're bringing them back to their countries where Biden allowed with the stupid open borders that we had in our country to come in. But
let's go, Baldy. He got a couple.
Places, or they're being put in jail, but they're career criminals.
President Trump, last night alone, we made 91 arrests, 19 firearms off the streets. And one was a warrant for a homicide, and 4 sex offenders who had active warrants. One was a sex offender on a child. Everything we did in Memphis was worth it, in my opinion, for that one arrest. Think about that. We got a child rapist off the streets, but yet we've made 562 arrests and still going strong in Memphis. Just what we did in D.C. But it's because it's all of us as a team working for you to make America safe, all together, round the clock.
Thank you, Pam. You're doing a great job. And it's amazing that we're not getting cooperation from Democrats. It's like, it's a new issue. You know, we have all the old issues of the wall and the border and all of the things, and men playing in women's sports they still want that, transgender for everybody. All these issues are so crazy, but we have a new one. It's called crime. We stop crime and they allow crime. They want crime. It doesn't make sense. I think it's as ridiculous as the other things that we talk about all the time. But I've added it onto our list, a 5-letter word called crime. We stop it, and they actually incite it. It's crazy. You would think they'd
shout
want
out to
them.
Sissy Well for being a member for the last 7 months. Let's go.
If we needed the military, people will be there. We've got a massive military. We have the best numbers we've ever had for recruitment. We have a lot of people now. We have people that can't get into them. In a great economy, they want to be soldiers again. A year ago, they didn't want to even think about it. Same thing as with police and firemen, everything. They want to join. They're proud of our country again. Christy, go ahead, please.
Well, sir, thank you for your leadership and for deploying all of government to help us keep our country safe. You have talked extensively about how threatened our ICE officers are, but all of our law enforcement out there. And we saw the shooting in Dallas at that facility, so we're hardening all of our buildings and making sure that we have more security measures, snipers on the roof, people to protect our law enforcement while they're out there on the streets. But what I'm also doing, sir, is, and with your authority, is we're purchasing more buildings in Chicago to operate out of. We're gonna not back off. In fact, we're doubling down, and we're gonna be in more parts of Chicago in response to the people there. And then I was there a few days ago and looked at some facilities that we can deploy more law enforcement out of, because what they're trying to do with these riots and violence is distract us and keep us from going after those murderers and rapists that are out in the streets. And then I was in Portland, went out and back on Tuesday and met with the governor, met with the mayor, met with the chief of police and the superintendent of the highway patrol. They are all lying and disingenuous and dishonest people, because as soon as you leave the room, then they make the exact opposite response. So we're looking at new facilities to purchase. They're in Portland too, and we're going to double down. And I told them if they didn't meet our demands for safety and security on the streets and work with us, then we were going to bring in more federal law enforcement. So I want to thank Pete and the Department of War for all their help. They've been fantastic. But while we fight litigation and work with Pam on that, we're going to send more of our resources and men and women out there to keep everybody safe. So no worries. What we see in DC and what we see in Memphis for benefits for people and the safety and security. We'll see that in Chicago and Portland.
And the numbers in Memphis, it's only a week, but the numbers have been amazing, I understand.
That's exactly right.
The
They've
crime
been
numbers are way down.
fantastic, and it shows what a partnership can be between local law enforcement and the federal government. And if we have to do it the hard way in Portland and Chicago, we will. But the people demand.
And President Trump, my lawyers are in court right now as we speak for you, arguing in Chicago and Portland to keep them safe, to bring in the Guard. The government doesn't want it there, but we do. We're going to keep their citizens safe, thanks to you.
The people want it. I don't understand the politics of it. I don't understand why Pritzker is trying to protect people that are
They're more scared
really
of, they're more scared of the anarchists that are on the street and the politics of it than they are of doing the right thing.
I think they're afraid.
Yeah,
I think they're
scared.
threatened. They don't tell us, but I think Pritzker's threatened by people. Because there's no other reason that this could be possible, that they don't want to have a safe Chicago. And we can solve the problem very quickly. And we're doing that anyway, regardless of if he doesn't want it or if he does want it, we're doing it anyway. So make sure.
I asked the mayor that himself. He said that Portland was perfectly safe, a beautiful city, no problems. And I said, well, why did you clear the streets for me today then and build out a 4-block radius to make sure I could get in and out of here? And these people on the street screaming death to ICE. There's graffiti that says Molotovs melt ice. We have the guillotines. We're going to use them.
Portland's almost different. It's like anarchist.
It is. It really is.
You know, it's really different than a lot of the
awful.
others. This is a sick situation, but those are anarchists. Those are people that want to overthrow government. They're really degenerates. And we're finding out who is supplying all of those beautiful signs and everything
Well,
else.
Scott's been fantastic. His team finding the financial networks is great. That's what
Okay,
gives everybody.
Scott will do that. That's easy for Scott.
We got a great team, sir.
That's good. How about we go to Marco? You can talk a little bit about what's going on and,
well,
go ahead.
Yeah, Mr. President. I don't know if one day perhaps the entire story will be told about the events of yesterday, but suffice it to say, it's not an exaggeration that none of it would have been possible without the President of the United States being involved. It really began with your trip to the Middle East, where these relationships were forged with partners in the region, personal relationships, close relationships that created the foundation where all this was possible. Where I think this really took a turn. Remember, a month ago, no one thought this was possible. Where it really took a turn about a month ago, less than a couple weeks ago, is when we were at the United Nations and you convened a historic meeting, not simply of Arab countries, but of Muslim majority countries from around the world, including Indonesia was there, Pakistan was there, and created this coalition behind this plan. Then on that following Monday, you met with the Prime Minister of Israel here, and that plan was presented. And then, of course, our great negotiating team followed up on it. In the interim, again, perhaps the stories will be told, perhaps they will never be told. The President had some extraordinary phone calls and meetings that required a high degree of intensity and commitment and made this happen. And I think what's important to understand is that yesterday what happened was really a human story. There's a geopolitical aspect to it, there's no doubt about it. It creates the conditions for Gaza to one day be a normal place again and people to have a better life and Israelis to be safe. But yesterday was a human story. And because of the work you put in, and honestly, not only is there no other leader in the world that could have put this together, Mr. President, but frankly, I don't know of any American president in the modern era that could have made this possible. Because of the actions you have taken unrelated to this and because of who you are and what you've done and how you're viewed. And this weekend, because of that, at some point very soon, we are going to see 20 living human beings emerge from the darkness into the light for the first time in 2 years. And that is because not only were you used the credibility and the power and the prestige of this office and the relationships you created, and you committed yourself to making it happen. And I think it will go down as a historic moment in the history of our country, and something our country should be very proud of, that we have a president that's committed to not just peace, but to the human aspect of reuniting these families. My last point on this is just a couple days ago, Secretary Lutnick hosted us all, many of us, at the Kennedy Center. And we have these families, we've interacted with them for so many years, for 2 years now. And the stories are heartbreaking, both whose families are alive and those who are deceased as well, who want their relatives back so that they can complete the process of grieving. And it was, we had all hoped that perhaps that was the day that we would have an announcement for them on the anniversary of the 7th. But I know you were able to speak to some of those families last night. And I just hope the whole nation understands how incredibly proud they should be of their president and of their country for the role that they've played. And I don't want to let this moment pass, Mr. President, without also noting the incredible work of Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner. They're an incredible team working together, facing some substantial impediments to even being there this weekend and doing it. Let me just leave it at that. And they've done a great job on your behalf, Mr. President. They deserve a tremendous amount of credit. But thank you for what you've done for the world.
Thank you very much, Marco. Appreciate it. I think because we have a very busy day with all that's gone on, what we'll do is maybe just a few of you raise your hand if you'd like to say something that don't talk too long, Doug. He's doing such a great job. So good that he can talk all day. That's the problem, right? But and what we'll do is just take a few hands, and then we'll go back to getting peace done. Okay? We'll go a little bit quicker. We'll take a few questions from the press. Go ahead, please.
President Trump, I just want to double down on what Marco was sharing. It's such a remarkable accomplishment. Agree that no other president could have done this, but what set the groundwork for you able to do that? When you took office on January 20th, you made a 180-degree turn in our military strength with Pete's leadership. You were the master class in peace through strength. So militarily, we've completely turned around. We've demonstrated that through execution against Iran and others, that we have force. We want to end wars, but we'll use power if we have to. And then secondarily, peace through strength is also the prosperity, having the strongest economy and being willing to wield the power of a tariff in addition to the military power to reorder the globe. Those two things that you're standing on, both economic power and military power, allowed these negotiations to go forward. And I think as you've described the importance of these economic negotiations and all the trade deals, but that also begins with another 180-degree turn, and that was the 180-degree turn on energy. You have used energy diplomacy to bring prosperity to the American people, and you've used it to bring peace abroad. The combination of those three things have been remarkable, and now we're seeing the remarkable result. And we got one more that I know you want to end with Russia and Ukraine. Energy is going to play a key role in that, and now with this historic agreement, we're in a position working with the Middle East to also end the Russian-Ukraine conflict. So again, congratulations.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Maybe I'll go to you for a second. You can just cap out what he said about the military, how well we're doing, and how big it is, and how strong it is.
Mr. President, you're exactly right. At the War Department, you don't get peace without strength. And our job is to be the strength part of the equation and deliver that when necessary, as you demonstrated with your Order of Midnight Hammer. And the entire world saw. And I just want to echo what Marco said. It is a personal honor to be able to witness the way you lead and negotiate. I wish people had a full understanding of what that looks like, that historic nature. A lot of us vets, the Vice President, Tulsi, Lee, Doug, probably after decades of war and the chaos that was unleashed through reckless and foolish American policies, never thought this kind of peace would be possible. Yet, with your strength, with your ability to wield trade negotiations, personal relationships, to open up that opportunity is truly historic on the world stage. And it creates a whole number of other cascading effects. And watching Marco and the Vice President and Steve and Jared, the CIA director, everybody come together to make it happen. You've formed a phenomenal team, Mr. President. And at the War Department, our job is to make sure if and when there's question about American commitment, the whole world knows we've got the biggest, strongest, most lethal, and most ready War Department in the world, which is true, which is why we saw record recruitment in 2025, Mr. President. The first 2 weeks of 2026 already blows that out. FY 2026 already blows it out of the water. In fact, re-enlistment has already met its year-long goal in the Marine Corps in 2026. You can't, there's no other way to create that kind of love and enthusiasm than with your leadership, sir. And it is an honor to work with Pam and with Christy and the cities across the country to make sure American citizens and law enforcement are protected with our National Guard. That's a core mission. And last thing, Mr. President, on the southwest border, the first group that rotated in to lock down that border to 0 crossings is now rotating out. and with a new border medal, the Southwest Border Medal, or it's actually called the Mexican Border Medal, revived from 1918, that will be pinning on their chest. So thank you for renaming the department, and we're trying to live up to it every day. So thank you, sir.
I mean, think of this. We have record numbers of recruitment. 1 year ago, there were stories, front page stories, so we couldn't get anybody to join the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard. My beautiful, I call it our beautiful Space Force. I love our Space Force. It's turned out to be very important, but we couldn't get anybody to join. Nobody wanted to join, including our police and fire. They didn't want to join anything. Recruitment was embarrassed, so we couldn't get anybody. And now we're brimming. Now it's, and they're getting in based on merit now. A soldier's a soldier. They come in now based on merit, not based on woke stuff that anybody can qualify. You have to qualify for jobs. You have to qualify for certain types of jobs. And it's amazing. So we were embarrassed a year ago. Think of it, a little bit more than a year ago. I think it stopped on November 5th. I think it really started, this all started on November 5th, the election day. But now everybody wants to be in. We have an overabundance, and maybe we should raise it a little bit. I don't know.
I like that idea, sir.
But we could raise it. But we have so many people want to join, and they're proud of our country again. JD, could I ask you to say a few words?
Yes, sir. So just a couple of things. Mr. President, first of all, congratulations on yesterday. It was a big day to Marco, to Susie, to the entire team, but in particular, viewing it from this perspective where for months, the fake news media attacked you, attacked the entire team, attacked your approach. You know, the definition of insanity is to do the same thing again and again, expecting a different result. The reason we're here is because the president actually charted a different course with a different team. He vested a lot of authority in Steve Witkoff in particular, and that's why we're here. It's because you did something different, and I think it's important to recognize that. I also think the president, you know, Marco mentioned the president's personal touch being a big part of this. The one thing I would say is obviously the president of the United States, a New York real estate billionaire, one of the most famous New Yorkers in the world, has a lot of interaction with a lot of people who are very pro-Israel. I think that was an important set of experiences and life experiences that he brought to the table. He also, of course, knew one of the most famous Palestinians in the world, Chuck Schumer, and I think without that background of knowledge, it would have been impossible to get us to this point. Second thing I would say, just on Chuck Schumer, the president mentioned this, that Chuck Schumer said this has been very good for us this morning about the shutdown. One of the things that we talked about before all the media came in, and that all of us are going to work on for the rest of the day, we've been working on for days, is how to make the shutdown as painless as possible on the American people. So while Chuck Schumer brags about this being good, and I think the president is right, it's not good for him politically as much as he might think that it is. It's causing real consequences for the American people. There's a low-income food program, the WIC program, that my mom actually used when I was a baby. That program is about to be underfunded, and it's about to get cut off because Chuck Schumer won't open the government. We have troops. The Secretary of War mentioned how well we're doing on recruitment. We're trying to figure out how to pay our troops because Chuck Schumer is shutting down the U.S. government. There are veterans benefits that are going to suffer. There are Americans that are going to suffer because Chuck Schumer refuses to do his job. So while we're all celebrating this incredible success that we've had on the world stage, the country could be doing so much better if Chuck Schumer did his job and opened the government. Every single Republican, except for Rand Paul, has voted to open the government. A few moderate Democrats, to their credit, have voted with us to open the government. We just need 5 more Democrats to come to their senses and let the people's government serve the American people. I hope that they'll do that.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, to follow up on that point, Mr. President, the Democrat or Schumer shutdown did not begin 8 or 9 days ago. It began 8 or 9 months ago with your inauguration. For the first time in American history, every Senate confirmed appointee who are our deputies to run our department, every one of them has been filibustered. One of the critical parts of my department is the National Nuclear Security Administration. It maintains, manufactures our nuclear weapons and our engines for nuclear submarines and nuclear aircraft carriers. We are a key supplier to Secretary of War Pete Hegseth. They filibustered, the Democrats filibustered the leader, the administrator of the National Nuclear Security Administration, would not let him come into my department until the Republicans 2 weeks ago changed the Senate rules so they could confirm him and we could have a leader. They filibustered the leadership, now they're filibustering the funding. In the next 6-7 days, we're going to run out of funding, and the retooling of our nuclear stockpile, the ultimate guarantor of our sovereignty, is going to be underfunded, and we're going to have to slow down and creep to a crawl these efforts. Just incredibly irresponsible for Schumer to worry about his own reelection and not the 340 million Americans that count on the efforts of our military and all of our departments. It's truly offensive, and we need to bring it to an end as soon as possible. Let's open the government back up.
And you're doing a great job. Thank you very much. Bobby, did you want to say something? You got a lot of things happening.
A lot of things.
A lot of very positive things, actually.
Mr. President, I'm glad you're getting bipartisan accolades on the Mideast peace agreement. You should also get bipartisan accolades on the MFN agreement. It is an historic agreement that's going to benefit every hardworking American. It's going to lower the price of drugs for every American. By the time this administration is over, we will have 95% of the drugs in this country will be the lowest price in the world. It immediately begins to affect Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security, the other government programs. I remember when I went through the confirmation process, and the principal preoccupation of the Democrats during that process was whether I would continue the IRA negotiations on drugs. The Democrats negotiated 10 drugs. I'm supposed to negotiate every year 15. The 10 that they negotiated, they claimed to get a 22% reduction, but it was a lie. It was 22% under the list price, which was actually higher than the price we were getting. Medicaid, Medicare ended up paying more for those drugs than they were paying beforehand. They only got a benefit on one drug. One was tied. 8 of them were lower. So they should be applauding what we're doing now. We're doing something that every administration, Democrat and Republican, has been saying that it was going to do for decades, and you got it done because you understood the power of the tariffs. We had leverage over these companies. And you did it in a way which you asked us to do, to negotiate in a way that was not going to stifle innovation, that was going to make sure that those companies could bring their production home, and they are doing that. And it was a profound success. It will affect every American for 100 years. And you should be getting bipartisan accolades on that. I'll say one other thing about Tylenol, only because of this. This morning before I came in here, somebody showed me a TikTok video of a pregnant woman at 8 months pregnant. She is an associate professor at the Columbia Medical School. And she is saying F Trump and gobbling Tylenol with her baby in her placenta. And the level of Trump derangement syndrome has now left the political landscapes, and it is now in the realm of pathology. And a mother could overwhelm millions of years of maternal instinct to put her baby at risk. And all you have to do is look at the studies which you and I talked about. It's not dispositive that causes autism. It is so suggestive that anybody who takes this stuff during pregnancy, unless they have to, is irresponsible. There are 15 rodent studies. Every one of them shows if you give it to the mother, the babies, and particularly the male babies, have profound neurological and behavioral changes. There is a study from Johns Hopkins on cord blood where they divided women into 3 categories: those who had the least acetaminophen in their cord blood, and those who had the most. The ones with the most had 3.6 times the rate of autism in their children. The middle category had 2.2 times, so it's a dose-related response. And there are dozens of studies that show the countries that use the most have the highest level of autism. Cuba has the lowest level in the world of acetaminophen use, and it has the lowest autism rate in the world. So this is not dispositive. It is not proof. We're doing the studies to make the proof. But in the meantime, the precautionary principle should apply. And any mother who is taking this stuff during pregnancy just to get back at Donald Trump is doing something that is pathological. And we're seeing that across the board. I got a lot of other stuff to talk about, but I know we got a short time here. But thank you, Mr. President. You're making our country healthier again.
Thank you, Bobby. Could you just, for the record, state what the autism was, let's say, 20 years ago and what it is today?
In 1970, the largest epidemiological study in history was performed. 900,000 kids were looked at. They were looking for autism in Wisconsin children. They looked at every child in Wisconsin who was 8 years old. They found an autism rate of 0.7 per 10,000. So almost close to 1 in 20,000, less than 1 in 10,000. Today, the autism rates are nationally 1 in 31, but it's actually much worse than that because California, which has the best collection system, reports an autism rate of 1 in every 19 children, 1 in every 12.5 boys. This is a national security issue. There is nothing more important, and I'm grateful to you, Mr. President, because you know the flack that you take for talking about this issue. You've shown courage and you've shown leadership, and I can't thank you enough for letting me do this work.
Thank you. So think of that, 1 in 20,000, and now it's 1 in 12 for boys, 1 in 18, 19 for girls. So obviously there's something that's artificially, I think, induced, something, whether it's the vaccines in terms of these massive vaccines that are twice the size of a jar like that, of a glass of water like that, I mean, into a baby's body. And I've suggested get them in doses, get them in, maybe 20%, 30%, but smaller, not such a big. I think, that. Then we had certain recommendations, the MMR, take them separately. The measles is already separate now, and it works out much better, but there doesn't seem to be any impact if you take it separately. If you take it as a combination, it's not so great. And some other things, but I would say don't take Tylenol if you're pregnant, and when the baby is born, don't give it Tylenol. You can avoid it at all, just don't give it Tylenol.
I'll say this.
Really, what do you have to lose? You really don't have much to lose. Yeah, go ahead.
There's also there's many other confirmation studies. There's 2 studies that showed children who are circumcised early have double the rate of autism. And it's highly likely because they're given Tylenol. So, none of this is just positive, but all of it is stuff that we should be paying attention to.
But, there's a tremendous amount of proof or evidence, I would say, as a non-doctor, but I've studied this a long time ago. I met Bobby in my office 20 years ago. We were talking about the same thing 20 years ago. And I was a real estate developer. It bothered me that it seemed to be getting worse, but it's so bad now when you hear these numbers. It's not even really sustainable. I don't know how people do it, but there is some very strong evidence on Tylenol. In fact, at one point, I guess the company gave a warning.
They still don't recommend it during pregnancy. That's the weird thing.
They're not recommending it, and that's the company itself. So just don't take it. Don't take it. If you're a woman, don't take it, and don't give it to the baby when the baby's born, and I think that's going to have an impact. But I'd also get the shots in smaller doses. There are a few things, we gave a few things that just seem to be, and I think you'd get that number way back up. Think of it. You have 1 in 20,000, and now it's not even believable when you think that 20,000 drops to 12 children. So that's induced by something that's given or taken, and it should be able to be stopped. And you were talking about the Pennsylvania Dutch, you were talking about the Amish, where they don't take any of this stuff, and they have virtually none, right? They have no autism. So we're doing something very bad. Somebody's been given some bad things. Other countries, by the way, we have 82 vaccines that we give simultaneously. And I'm a vaccine believer, by the way. I believe in the polio vaccine. I believe in a lot of vaccines. But when you give 82 vaccines in a shot to a little baby that hasn't even formed yet, it's a lot of vaccines. And in Japan, they give a much smaller number. In Germany, they give a much smaller, like 28 vaccines. That's a lot too. But 28 is a lot different than 82. So, but I would say on the Tylenol, don't take it, and that will be. I think it's going to be a big factor. I think it'll be a very good result, and I hope we're going to be able to see that result in the not too distant future. Because certainly, people have heard us loud and clear. That's why I bring it up again. That's why I asked you to talk about it, because this is a horrible thing, and if you don't take it, I mean, you have to tough it through sometimes. There are other things you can do, but you have to tough it out. It's easy for me to say, but I think you're going to see numbers that will be it'll be so significantly improved, and maybe fully improved. I mean, there's something there, there's something going on, and we have to address it. And so I'm addressing it the best I can as a non-doctor, but I'm a man of common sense. Okay, any other questions?
I'd like to comment on the workforce.
Please.
Mr. President, a lot of people are calling to give you the Nobel Peace Prize after this peace deal that you managed to achieve in the Middle East. First of all, your opinion on that, and I was wondering about your trip to the Middle East, if you can tell us if you're considering to speak at the Knesset, at the Israeli parliament.
Well, they asked me to speak at the Knesset, and I've agreed to. If they would like me to, I will do it. It's the first time a president has ever done that, so that makes it very interesting, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, so I will do it if they want me to. They have asked me to do it. Thank you.
Families of hostages are out in the streets in Israel dancing and crying tears of
They're all
joy.
dancing in the streets. Right now, they're dancing in the streets. They're so happy. Everybody's happy. They're dancing in the streets of Arab countries, Muslim countries. I've never seen anything like it. Everybody is happy. It's been really amazing. Thank you.
President Trump, on the international peacekeeping force that's going to be deployed to Gaza soon, do you expect that Pakistan, Turkey, other countries to contribute forces? Has that become firmed up? And also on the shutdown, it seems like in the House there's a majority support for a temporary extension of the Obamacare subsidies, perhaps minus the funds for illegal immigrants. Is that how you see the deal to end the shutdown happening?
Well, I see the deal just getting extended as we continue to talk, but we're willing to pay because we're paying. You know, it's very simple. We're paying. And the Democrats are the ones that caused this problem. And it's a big problem for them, and they have a lot of break in their ranks. But so I see that, you know, I think that'll get worked out. But we want to get back before we do this. We don't want to have a gun held to our head. We don't like that, and the public doesn't like it either. So we want to get back, and I think it's going to work out. I think it's going to work out very well. It's something that shouldn't have happened. This was supposed to take place before the election. You know, this was supposed to take place on September 28th before the election. We shouldn't even be talking about this right now. This is actually something that shouldn't have even happened. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, looking ahead, what guarantees Hamas disarms and that Israel doesn't resume bombing once the hostages are released?
The first thing we're doing is getting our hostages back, okay? And that's what people wanted more than anything else. They wanted these hostages back that have lived in hell like nobody has ever even dreamt possible. And after that, we'll see. But they've agreed to things, and I think it's going to move along pretty well.
But what is phase two? When does it begin?
I'm not going to talk about that because you sort of know what phase two is, but there will be disarming, there will be pullbacks, there will be a lot of things that are happening. You know, I gave you a whole list of 22 different things that will take place. And I think it'll take place, and I think you're going to end up with peace in the Middle East. But we have to get our hostages back. And we weren't going to do it at the end. We're going to do it at the beginning. We said we want them at the beginning. We're not doing it. You know, we got the hostages back. We did, as a group with Steve and Jared and Marco and me and all of us. We got the hostages back. We got many of them back. Many, unfortunately, were dead. But we got many back that are now living with their families, with their parents in many cases, and with their husbands, families, wives. Many of them, they celebrate all over. They're the ones that are celebrating the loudest. They're all over. There are a lot of them that we got out. But the last 20, and I always said the last ones are going to be the most difficult. But it's been a very big deal getting the hostages out. But the rest is going to take place too.
And can you promise Palestinians they will be able to stay?
Well, they know exactly what we're doing. We're going to create something where people can live. You can't live right now in Gaza. The place is it's a horrible situation. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. So yeah, we're going to create better conditions for people. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, excuse me, what kind of security guarantees is the United States going to make for Gaza?
Well, we're going to work with very wealthy countries that love people, frankly. I know them very well. They love people, but they love Arab people, and they love Muslims, and they love, I think right now they love everybody, and they're immensely wealthy, and they're going to be involved in putting up money, and for them it's a small amount of money. For somebody else it's a large amount of money, but these are the wealthiest countries in the world, and they'll be very much involved in making it as good as possible.
And what's your take now on a two-state solution, sir? Just to follow up on that. What is your view now on a two-state solution for the...
I don't have a view. I'm going to go with what they agreed to.
Mr. President, given that there are some tough provisions for Israel in this agreement, are you at all concerned that Bibi Netanyahu may not continue in his post? He may be deposed.
That Bibi may go a little bit out of whack?
That he may no longer be prime minister when this is over.
Look, that's politics. It could be. I don't know. I think he's very popular right now. He's much more popular today than he was 5 days ago. I can tell you. Right now, maybe people shouldn't run against him. 5 days ago, it might not have been a bad idea. No, Bibi's this has been a very good thing. I don't think he did it for that reason, okay? But I think just looking as an analyst would look at this, I think Bibi should be very popular right now. Yeah, please.
What will happen if Hamas says that it cannot locate or was not able to find all of the deceased hostages' bodies within the time frame?
Well, we'll have to see. I think that's going to be, it's largely been answered. We know where most of them are. Actually, the bodies are a bigger problem because some of the bodies are going to be a little bit hard to find. It's a terrible thing to discuss even, but you understand, we're all people, we're grown-ups, we understand life. Nobody can understand this though because this could have taken place, but we have the hostages for the most part, and so I don't think it's going to be overly big. The situation with the bodies, they say 28, some are going to be a little bit hard to find, but we're going to do the best we can. Yeah, please.
If they don't find them within the time frame.
Please.
Thank you, sir. Regarding Jared Kushner's role in the negotiations, can you explain a little bit about why he came on at the last minute? And then in regards to the WIC program that the Vice President mentioned, do you know when the funding that you promised through the tariff revenue will actually go through to communities? Because there's reports that WIC providers are actually starting to close down today.
Well, okay, let me just answer the Jared. So Jared's a very smart guy. He did the Abraham Accords. As some people say, the Abraham, which I love the way that sounds, but he did the Abraham Accords. It was a great thing for big countries joined. If I were president, if the election would have been a correct election, which it wasn't, you'd have every country in there. Maybe even Iran would have been in there, frankly. But you'd have every country. And now, by the way, that's going to be filled up rather quickly. People want to join the Abraham Accords. And I put Jared there because he's a very smart person, and he knows the region, knows the people, knows a lot of the players. And the combination of him and Steve Witkoff and Marco and Cooper, who is, as I hear, has been fantastic, and others that were involved. JD was very much involved. I mean, we had a very smart group of people working. We had a lot of different players, different countries, and very diverse countries, very different from each other. They had certain things in common, but they had a lot of things, mostly things that were not at all common to their countries. So we had a very smart group of people. These are high IQ people. Okay, I talk about how many low IQ people we have in our government. We got some real low ones, but some shockingly low. But these are very high IQ people, and that's what we want. I like high IQ people. Yeah.
Mr. President, thank you. Can I ask you about the China? You're meeting with President Xi. The Chinese have now set to put in new export controls on rare earth minerals, and they've stopped buying soybeans from the U.S. What do you hope to get out of that meeting now with President Xi?
Well, we'll see. I mean, I just heard this a little while ago before we came in, so I haven't been briefed on it. the export. I mean, look, we have the ultimate export. We have import, and we have export. We import from China massive amounts, and maybe we'll have to stop doing that. But I don't know exactly what it is. Neither do you. Neither does anybody. It's a little bit soon. I just heard about it. So Scott and Howard will figure that out, and I'm sure we'll be able to handle it.
Can I ask you about the soybeans? What is the plan to help farmers? Is it direct checks? Is it tax? Have you sorted that out yet?
Well, what happens with soybeans is we're going to see more and more, I think, opening up. And part of the reason that we'll be he's got things that he wants to discuss with me, and I have things that I want to discuss with him. And one of the things is soybeans. I had a great deal with China where they would buy $50 billion worth of our farm product and manufacturing and other things, but farm product. And it was going along well. Then when the election turned out to be a rigged election and we had the wrong guy get in there, he didn't do anything about it. I used to call up President Xi every 2 weeks, or I'd call up people in China, say, you got to keep going, you're not buying the amount that you agreed to. And this went on for, ever since we signed the agreement. It was a great agreement. So they used to do 15 billion, and I got it up to 50 billion, 50, and it was great. Then when Biden got in, they just never adhered to the agreement, and nobody in Biden's group, as you can imagine, did anything about it. So it just sat there for 4 years, and they didn't adhere to the agreement. And we, it's hard to go back after 4 years of nobody calling them, but I used to call them every 2 weeks. I'd say, you're a little, or I appreciate it. Oftentimes I'd say, thank you very much. You are totally adhering to the agreement. But we had an agreement, they would buy $50 billion worth of our product, mostly farm product. And the farmer, remember I said to the farmers, buy larger tractors and more land. And that's exactly what happened. They did well. But we do suffer. I'd like you to discuss that maybe for a second, Brooke. Sure. Very quickly, by the way.
Yes, sir.
But would you just talk about how Biden let us down? Biden, every single thing, every problem the farmer has is because Biden didn't do anything for 4 years. Go ahead.
No, I think that's right. This president has been unequivocal in his support of the farmers. First of all, in term one, we worked on it so hard and opened up markets, but especially this term. But here's what everyone has to understand. The farm economy is in a very uncertain time. But that isn't because of the current trade negotiations, although certainly the China part is part of that. But we inherited a slew of issues. First of all, as the president said, when we left Trump 1, we had an agriculture trade surplus. When we came back for Trump 2, it was a $50 billion ag deficit. That isn't everything, that's just agriculture. The second part is the cost of inputs for our farmers increased on average between 30 and 38%, but that includes fertilizer, it includes fuel, it includes interest rates, it includes labor. All of this came about under Joe Biden, a 47% increase in the cost of labor that now Secretary Chavez-DeRimmer and Noam and I are working on. Fuel is coming down, thank you. Interest rates, thankfully, are coming down. A 73% increase in interest rates for our farmers. They couldn't get loans to make sure that they could move forward. So that's all really, really important. And I think we have to realize what the president's commitment is this, that we're moving into an era of rural prosperity, of a golden age for our farmers in rural America. The trade renegotiations and the trade realignment that Jameson and Scott and Howard have led with the president's leadership is unlike anything that's happened in the history of our country. And those that will benefit the most are the original Americans, our farmers and our ranchers. The president has committed, if we need a bridge, he has talked about that to get us from the Biden years to the new Trump era. That's what we're working on every day. We've got to get the government reopened so that we can move forward on that. And once we do, we'll be able to move out a significant program to help our farmers. Long term, we have to change this hamster wheel of government. We've got to ensure that the farmers have the market to sell, and it's a national security issue and onshoring a lot of the food as well.
Okay,
So, sir, thank you.
Thank you, everybody. I think that's enough. The country is doing very well. Thank you very much, everybody.
All right, guys, so there you have it. Trump has brokered a peace deal with Gaza to release the hostages. the government is still shut down, guys. It's a lot going on, man. It's a lot going on. And as they continue to keep us updated, I will continue to keep y'all updated. I hope y'all got a lot of information from this live stream that you may not have known. Whether you believe it, don't believe it, you think it's a bunch of crap, whatever. At least we put the information forth for you to have your own opinion and draw your own conclusion, guys. Yeah, shout out to my moderators, shout out to all the subscribers, shout out to everybody that's viewing. Make sure you double tap that screen, guys, hit that like button. Most definitely subscribe to the channel if you're new. This is Everything News, where we cover everything news. And with that being said, y'all know it's time for me to make my exit. Sidewalk Gang, checking out. I'll catch y'all on the next one, man. Y'all be safe.